Hello and welcome to Kakaaki, the African Voice on Africa Independent Television, AIT. I'm Oloyede Oworu. Nice to have you with us on the Thursday edition of the program. Now, the civil service of any government is often referred to as the engine room of that government. That's because governments the world over rely on the civil service to interpret its visions for governance. Now, until recently, discussions on the civil service in Nigeria centered mainly on recruitment, welfare, and promotion issues. But that appears to have changed as focus appears to center on the bigger issue of whether the civil service is actually capable of converting government policies into results for Nigerians. Well, only yesterday, President Bola Tinubu announced the appointment of a new head of service, Abel Enitor. In a statement released on Wednesday, Enitor is replacing Didi Wilson-Jack, who is set to retire as the head of service upon attaining the statutory retirement age of 60. Enitor from Osun State is the most senior permanent secretary in the civil service. Well, on Kakaaki, the African Voice this Thursday, we will be looking at the Nigerian civil service, its capacity to interpret and implement government policies, and the task ahead of the new head of service and how he's going to bring his experience to bear for the benefit of all Nigerians. And how will the new head of service cope with working for two different regimes and run a professional civil service that will remain an institution rather than an extension of the ruling party? Well, joining us on Kakaaki to look at this and other related issues is Henry Shield. Henry Shield is the head of mission in Nigeria at the Leadership and Accountability Initiative. And he'll be joining us to look at the issues surrounding the civil service and indeed the appointment of its new head. All right, giving honor to whom it's due. That's what's going to happen this weekend as the Most Influential Awards is celebrating its 10th anniversary, and it promises to be a grand event. The awards ceremony is scheduled to take place at the usual venue, the Transcorp Hilton Hotel in Abuja. The event recognizes outstanding individuals who have made significant contributions to various sectors in Nigeria and Africa, including in areas of leadership, politics, business, economy, philanthropy, and sports. The award is also designed to recognize and celebrate the contributions of influential individuals, inspire leadership excellence, and foster a culture of recognition and appreciation by recognizing and celebrating outstanding personalities in both government and private sectors who have made significant contributions to nation building in Nigeria and Africa at large. Now, some interesting names have popped up to receive awards in different categories. One of them is a posthumous award for the late founder of Dar Communications, High Chief Alioho Dokpesi, who will be also receiving, will be awarded and honored posthumously. Well, the organizers say there are so many Nigerians doing commendable things, but not enough of them are being celebrated, which they say is the motivating factor behind the awards. Well, joining us to discuss the awards itself is Vivian Lam. Vivian Lam is the publisher of Glamour magazine and the convener of the Most Influential Awards. And also joining us will be Victor Atewe, the award event manager. Do remember you can be part of the program by sending your views and comments to all our social media handles on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube at Africa Independent TV, so you can stay up to date with the latest news from around the globe. All right, for talking about news from around the globe, let's join our news desk for Kakaaki World News.
The African Voice. I am Adora Sydney Jack. You are welcome. Now, Gaza health officials said an Israeli strike on the municipal police headquarters in Gaza City killed 9 people on Wednesday, with the Israeli military saying it targeted a Hamas commander in that strike and another further south. Attacks in the Palestinian territory have continued in recent days, despite a renewed push by the United States to advance a long-term Gaza peace plan.
Gaza City's Al-Shifa hospital reported the arrival of 9 bodies, including a woman and a girl, and at least 20 wounded following the strike in Gaza City. The territory's civil defense agency, which operates as a rescue service under Hamas, confirmed the toll. The Israeli military said the strike on the police headquarters targeted a Hamas commander who it said had planned to carry out attacks against troops in the territory. It said it had also struck a commander in Hamas's military wing in the New Sarat area in the central Gaza Strip. Hamas spokesman Hazem Qassem condemned what he called Israel's complete disregard for all calls for a ceasefire. He said U.S. President Donald Trump's Board of Peace, which is tasked with implementing the ceasefire plan agreed last October, bears responsibility for this escalation due to its failure to fulfill its obligations by pressuring the occupation to abide by its commitments. Trump's envoy Jared Kushner had said on Monday that progress towards disarming Hamas and moving forward with the Gaza peace plan could begin within a month following a meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The sit-down came 2 weeks after Hamas endorsed the latest stage of Trump's Gaza plan. Netanyahu, however, has refused to support the roadmap, vowing not to withdraw troops until the Palestinian Islamist movement is genuinely disarmed.
The Israeli military has confirmed for the first time that it opened fire on a car carrying 5-year-old Palestinian girl, Hind Rajab, who was killed along with 6 relatives in Gaza in 2024. Now, Rajab initially survived the attack and answered a telephone call during which she pleaded for help. The call lasted hours. An ambulance sent to reach her in a move coordinated with the Israeli army was then shelled, killing 2 paramedics. Hind's body was recovered days later along with the others killed. In a statement, the Israel Defense Forces said that it would open a criminal investigation into Hind and her family's killing, as well as the killing of 15 Palestinians, including medics and a UN worker in March 2025. Both incidents drew international condemnation. The IDF said of the killing of Hind, due to alleged failures in the coordination of the movement of the Palestine Red Crescent ambulance, it has been decided to initiate a criminal investigation of the incident by Military Police Criminal Investigation Division. The IDF initially stated that none of its troops were in the area at the time of Hind's killing. However, that suggestion was soon questioned. A head-on collision between a bus carrying medical patients and a truck killed at least 23 people early Wednesday in southern Brazil. The crash occurred at 3:30 a.m. local time, 6:30 p.m. local time, when a truck veered into the other vehicle's lane in the municipality of Ipiranga in Paraná State, police said.
3 deaths has been confirmed. Most of the victims were on the bus. The truck driver was among those killed. Images and videos in the local press showed the bus smashed to pieces next to a truck at the roadside. Initially, the company that manages the highway said the accident took place in Imbituva, where the bus began its journey. The collision occurred on a highway that connects the southern parts of the country with Sao Paulo, Brazil's wealthiest state. Hours later, the highway remained closed, causing a miles-long backup of vehicles. The bus belonged to the Imbituva Health Department and was transporting patients to medical center in the city of Curitiba. Authorities have not provided any information about the truck's occupant. Fatal traffic accidents are common in Brazil. 8 people died on Sunday in the state of Rio de Janeiro when the bus they were traveling in overturned. In February, a bus returning from a religious festival in northeastern Brazil veered off the road and overturned, killing at least 16 people.
The number of people displaced and injured by a powerful earthquake 3 days ago has jumped significantly, emergency officials said on Tuesday, with at least 40,000 people living in temporary shelters. The death toll from the 7.7 magnitude quake that hit Flores Island in Indonesia's eastern Saturday also rose to 70 after 2 more fatalities were confirmed.
More than 40,000 people were now listed as displaced by the quake, according to the National Disaster Mitigation Agency, a sharp jump from the figure of 12,800 provided on Monday. At least 1,000 people were also now listed as injured, an increase of more than tenfold from just a day earlier. The quake damaged almost 12,000 homes across several towns in Flores, where a BNPB spokesman said many residents were refusing to return home as hundreds of aftershocks rattled the island. Authorities say the number of displaced people does not reflect the extent of damage to houses, but rather the psychological impact experienced by residents. More than 2,100 aftershocks have been recorded, including 70 strong enough to be felt by residents. More government aid began arriving on Monday. The BNPB said more than 100 tons of relief supplies had been delivered to the island since Saturday. National Police Chief Listio Prabowo said separately that police had also distributed nearly 250 tons of aid, including food, medicine, clothing, generators, and other supplies. Indonesia frequently experiences earthquakes because it lies on the Pacific Ring of Fire, a zone of intense seismic and volcanic activities that stretches from Japan through Southeast Asia and across the Pacific Ocean. In 2004, a powerful 9.1 magnitude earthquake off the coast of Sumatra triggered a tsunami that killed about 222,000 people across the region, including around 170,000 in Indonesia.
Now, Russia and Ukraine each handed over 103 captured soldiers on Wednesday in the latest exchange between the warring sides. Now, prisoner exchanges and repatriations of soldiers' remains have been among the few areas of cooperation between Russia and Ukraine since Moscow launched its offensive in February 2022. Earlier, the Russian Defense Ministry had announced the exchange, stating that 103 Russian servicemen were returned in exchange and 103 Ukrainian prisoners of war were handed over. Talks on ending the conflict remain effectively frozen, while the civilian death toll in 2026 has risen to the highest level since the war's first month. The freed Russian soldiers are in Belarus and will be flown to Russia for rehabilitation after receiving psychological and medical care. The United Arab Emirates mediated the exchange, and the Gulf state has brokered dozens of prisoner swaps between Moscow and Kiev since the start of the war. Ukraine's lawmakers approved the country's new defense minister on Wednesday, a month after a reshuffle that triggered a public backlash after the dismissal of his popular predecessor, Mikhailo Fedorov. The decision comes a day after Fedorov and the video statements called for a move towards elections that have been put off because of the Russian invasion.
After
ousting Fedorov last month and then appointing a new commander-in-chief amid a blistering public row between the army and the defense ministry, Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky named Yevgeny Hamara, a widely respected career intelligence official, to head the ministry. Zelensky said, quote, "Ukraine needs more strength, and it will have it," hailing the parliament's move to approve Hamara. In a session on Wednesday, 312 lawmakers voted in favor of his appointment and 2 against. Addressing the parliament before the vote, Hamara vowed to do everything to defend Ukraine, to reduce Russia's war potential as much as possible, and to force the enemy into a just peace. When appointing him as acting minister, Zelensky had said that Hamara has gained extensive and in many respects unprecedented experience with technological combat operations. Opposition lawmaker Solomia Bobrovska from the Parliament's Defense Committee hailed Hamara's achievements and said he would be a loss to Ukraine's intelligence. Kumara rose through the ranks of the Security Service of Ukraine, serving in some of its most secretive units, which also means little is publicly known about his personal life. His official biography omits both his date and place of birth, but says he has been involved in the first fight against Russian forces since 2014 and the first assault on Ukraine led by Moscow-backed separatists. He headed the unit conducting operations behind enemy lines in Chernobyl after Russia's full-scale invasion in 2022 and participated in many battles in eastern Ukraine, according to his official biography. In 2023, he was named to head the SBU Special Operations Center A, also known as the Alpha Unit, whose personnel have been reportedly linked to Operation Spiderweb, a high-profile attack on Russian aircraft in 2025 that involved smuggling explosive drones deep into Russia.
Ukraine's popular ex-defense minister Mikhailo Fedorov, sacked last month, has called for a move towards elections that have been put off because of the Russian invasion. Ukraine imposed martial law when Russian forces swept over the border in February 2022, and military rule prohibits holding elections. Now, Fedorov said in a video posted to YouTube that democracy cannot be held hostage by Russia. We are fighting precisely because we want to remain a free European state. Fedorov said Ukraine must find a legal, safe and realistic mechanism that will allow Ukraine to restore a full democratic process even amidst a prolonged war. The ex-defense minister acknowledged the obstacles to holding a vote during the war, including how to ensure soldiers, people living near the front line and millions of Ukrainians abroad can cast ballots. Appointed defense minister in January, Fedorov tried to reform a military hit by scandals over corruption, equipment shortages, absenteeism, the treatment of conscripts, and an unpopular mobilization drive. His dismissal in July triggered weeks of protest, piling pressure on President Volodymyr Zelensky, who then replaced Army Chief Oleksandr Syrskyi, widely seen as Fedorov's rival. The International Criminal Court on Wednesday lashed out at the United States after Washington slapped sanctions on ICC President Tomoko Akane, calling it a flagrant attack on the court's independence. The U.S. sanctioned Akane of Japan and trial lawyer Abdoulaye Sere of Senegal on Tuesday as part of Washington's campaign against what it calls a corrupt and fatally politicized body.
The EU's top officials immediately threw their support behind Akane, saying they stand firmly with the ICC president and her top officials. In two statements on X, European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen and European Council Head Antonio Costa said the court must be able to act independently and without external pressure. Germany echoed the stance, with its foreign ministry calling the court's independence of central importance, while the Netherlands, which hosts the court at The Hague, also voiced its disapproval. Slamming the U.S. move, Spain described the court as the cornerstone of international criminal justice system. The court said in a statement, these sanctions are a flagrant attack against the independence of an impartial judicial institution. Washington's latest move follows sanctions it imposed on several ICC officials, seen as largely in response to the court's investigations involving Israel, a U.S. ally. Japan also objected to the sanctions, saying the country has consistently supported the ICC in its efforts to prosecute and punish the most serious crimes of concern to the international community and to uphold the rule of law. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio earlier said in a statement that the sanctioned individuals have directly engaged in efforts by the ICC to investigate, arrest, detain, or prosecute officials whose government has not consented to ICC jurisdiction. Established in 2002, the ICC prosecutes individuals accused of the gravest atrocities and acts as a last resort when countries do not have adequate legal systems to ensure accountability.
Now, U.S. President Donald Trump said he will delay imposing a new tariff on a wide array of Canadian goods for 3 days as the countries firm up a trade deal. The announcement came less than 2 hours before a 50% levy on nearly $20 billion of Canadian imports was set to go in place.
The two sides have been at an impasse on several issues, including U.S. tariffs on autos and many Canadian provinces banning American liquor sales. Senior trade representatives of both countries met on Wednesday morning in Washington after Trump's tariff pause, indicating that discussions on a possible deal are still ongoing. Speaking to reporters, Trump characterized the deal as very good for both countries. He suggested it would include concessions from Canada on agriculture and manufacturing, as well as a reduction of certain U.S. tariffs on Canada. Trump and Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney spoke twice this week, and trade negotiators have been engaged in intense talks since July after the U.S. president threatened the new levy with a deadline of 19 August. In his post on Tuesday night, Trump also said a final trade deal could allow the revival of the Keystone XL pipeline. The oil pipeline, which would connect Alberta to the U.S., was blocked by both the Obama and Biden administrations. Environmentalists and indigenous groups have long opposed the pipeline, but Trump has said multiple times he would like to revive the project, which will carry 830,000 barrels of oil a day. It will also include many important provisions that will continue to protect the market and American people and workers, along with the Canadian partners. Tuesday's extension is welcome news for Canadian negotiators and for businesses on both sides of the border, who have warned that the new tariffs would be harmful to both countries. Tensions have mounted between the two major trading partners since Trump returned to office in January last year, and he unleashed a wide-ranging global program of tariff, upending decades of free trade between Canada and the US. The latest tariff threatened by Trump were to be applied on a range of Canadian imports, including wine, dairy, cement, clothing, and hockey equipment.
The powerful sister of Kim Jong-un said Wednesday she was unaware of reported communication between her brother and Donald Trump after the U.S. president hinted at contact with the North Korean leader, but said ties between the two remain excellent. Kim To-jong's statement came hours after Washington and Seoul announced their annual exercises would end about a week earlier than planned, following an order from Trump to scale them back.
Trump said on Sunday that he had told the Pentagon to curtail the annual Ulchi Freedom Shield exercises a day before they started, citing his good relationship with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Kim Yo-jong nevertheless said her brother still had good memories and feelings about Trump and that the relationship between the two leaders remained excellent. Earlier Wednesday, Seoul's military said the drills would wrap up on Friday, not on August 7th as originally planned. The Pentagon said the substantially reduced drills would preserve essential readiness and no degradation to U.S. training objectives. The exercises are designed to prepare for a possible attack by North Korea. Kim Yo-jong, however, dismissed the reduction, saying they do not consider it worth commenting on and finding it completely uninteresting. Nuclear-armed North Korea had long voiced outrage at the exercises, considering them dress rehearsals for an invasion. In the initial announcement on his Truth Social platform, Trump described the drills as unfriendly towards a country that had been respectful to him. South Korea's Foreign Minister Cho Hyun told lawmakers on Wednesday that Seoul had not been informed in advance of Trump's plan to downsize them. Trump has insisted that he is making the situation much safer through his ties with Kim.
A group of 46 climate activists on Tuesday filed a lawsuit against the Swedish state, arguing their right to protest had been violated as a result of them being targeted by law enforcement actions. Now, the activists argue that the state is intimidating people from participating in peaceful demonstrations for climate action by prosecuting protesters.
The complaint was brought by 46 activists from Sweden, Norway and Germany under the banner Rosa-Mallet, the Rosa Castle, a nod to U.S. civil rights activist Rosa Parks. They said that between 2020 and 2026, Swedish police, prosecutors and courts had suspected, prosecuted, and in most cases convicted as many as 388 climate activists for 26 different crimes, including disobedience, gross unlawful trespassing, and sabotage. The group said in a statement that the lawsuit includes a large number of examples and testimonies of violations of climate protesters carried out or supported by the Swedish state. These included prison sentences, long detentions, arbitrary detentions, violence, torture, threats, calls to commit suicide, and secret house searches. Johnson said the lawsuit was based on Sweden's own constitution, the European Convention on Human Rights, and other international human rights texts. The activists also noted that Sweden, home of famed climate campaigner Greta Thunberg, and her Fridays for Future movement, had already been criticized by rights groups and the U.S. Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights defenders. They demanded that the state compensates them for the violation they have been subjected to, because they have been brought to trial, adding that more activists could potentially join the class action lawsuits later.
The South African Consul General in Lagos, Bobby Moreau, has rejected claims that South Africa is inherently xenophobic, saying isolated attacks on migrants should not be used to define an entire country. He also cited the country's constitutional protection of foreign nationals. Moreau said this in Lagos during a roundtable discussion on South Africa's xenophobia in comparative perspective hosted by the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, NIIA, which brought together diplomats and scholars to examine the issue and chart a positive path forward.
Discourse at NIIA in Lagos, experts examine the roots of anti-migrant sentiment, the responsibilities of both sending and receiving countries. The South African Consul General in Lagos rejects claims that South Africa is inherently xenophobic, citing constitutional protection for migrants.
South Africa is not unique in its fears, but it can be unique in its courage to enforce a law without losing the heart, to protect the home without forgetting the guests. That is Africa we fought for. South Africa's democracy remains sacrosanct under the leadership.
DG NIIA, Professor Elisa Osage, says xenophobia thrives on prejudice and generalization, warning that hate speech can escalate into violence.
South African transition could not be understood within the African prism. In other words, that South Africa's transition frame was closer to what was going on in Eastern Europe and Latin America than to what was going on in Africa. It took the intervention of a few scholars to say that was not the correct way to analyze South Africa's transition.
Professor Abdele Jinadu calls for Nigeria and South Africa to review their historic partnership and strengthen African solutions.
Xenophobia as such, not xenophobia in particular, xenophobia as such becomes problematic when it is weaponized, politicized, and directed against foreigners by citizens who engage in mob action.
The NIA Roundtable examines xenophobia in South Africa, its historical roots and implications for Nigeria-South Africa relations and African unity. Amarachi Amushe, EIT News, Lagos.
No fewer than 24 bandits have been killed in a joint security operation involving troops of the Nigerian Army, personnel of the Department of State Service, and members of the Katsina Community Watch Corps in an attempt by the assailants to abduct residents of Gidan Bawa, community in Bakori local government area of Katsina State. The operation, conducted on Tuesday in Gandarawa ward, reportedly followed intelligence indicating that a large group of armed bandits was preparing to attack the community and seize residents, with women and children said to be among the intended targets. Security sources said that attackers were linked to a notorious bandit leader identified as Isia Kwashin Garwa and were planning to use the raid to cause widespread panic and undermine the government's security efforts. Acting on the intelligence, the DSS mobilized members of the Civilian Joint Task Force from Guga camp and laid an ambush for the attackers as they moved towards the community. Villagers who had reportedly been taken hostage were successfully rescued in the ensuing encounter. The joint team also recovered 19 cattle allegedly stolen from the area during the operation. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, says reforms by the Tinubu administration in the oil and gas sector have started yielding positive results. The SGF, represented by Professor Bolaji Babatunde at the 5th Pengassin Energy and Labour Summit, says the federal ministries of petroleum, labour and employment have continued to play a significant role in enduring industrial harmony and is maintained in the oil and gas sector.
This is the 5th edition of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria Pengassin Energy and Labour Summit, which provided opportunity for the federal government to roll out its achievement in the oil and gas sector. Leading the federal government delegation, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, says reforms by the Tinubu government in the oil and gas sector have been recognized internationally.
The President has demonstrated the political will to undertake difficult but necessary reforms aimed at transforming the sector from one characterized by uncertainty and leakages into one that is productive, competitive, investment-friendly, and capable of supporting sustainable national development.
The administration has therefore focused on implementing the PIA rather than treating it just as a piece of law. Under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, targeted presidential orders and executive orders have been deployed to address practical constraints identified in the course of the implementation of the PIA.
As I welcome you to PELS for the final time.
It is the last summit to be hosted by Engineer Festus Osifo as president of Pengassin, and he used the opportunity to demand for the adoption of the MMNG model for the country's refineries.
Government cannot build the industry we desire alone. Regulators cannot do it alone. Operators at well cannot do it alone. Labor cannot do it alone. We need collaboration, accountability, predictability, and mutual respect. Because without investment, there will be no project. Without project, there will be no sustainable jobs. Without production, there will be no revenue. And without fairness and stability, none of these can endure. This is why PELS matters.
According to Pengassin, the 3-day event is expected to produce a communique to be presented to the federal government as a recommendation for broader reforms in the sector, especially on workers' welfare. Abulu Osema, AIT News, Abuja.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has presented a certificate of return to Senator Ademola Adeleke following his victory in the Osun State governorship election, formally confirming his return for a second term in office. Governor Adeleke and his deputy received the certificates at the INEC headquarters in Osogbo Wednesday following their victory at the August 15 Osun governorship election. Olatunde Olajide has the details.
Of the certificate of return to Governor Ademola Adeleke and his deputy marks the formal completion of the electoral process for the conduct of the governorship election in Osun State, making the way for the duo to continue in office for another 4-year term. The INEC National Commissioner supervising the governorship election in the state, Professor Kunle Ajayi, and the Osun State Resident Electoral Commissioner Oluwatoyin Babalola presented the certificate of return to Governor Ademola Adeleke and his deputy in a brief ceremony. They explained that the Commission had fulfilled its statutory responsibility after affirming the choice of voters after the election.
Our mandate was simple: to conduct an election that is free, fair, credible, transparent, impartial, inclusive, and progressive, and to ensure that the lawful choice of the electorate prevails.
The successful conduct of the election was not achieved by INEC alone. It was a collective democratic enterprise requiring the commitment, cooperation, vigilance, and restraint of political parties, candidates, security agencies, civil society organizations, the media, traditional leaders, and religious institutions, and above all, the electorate in Osun State.
In his acceptance speech, Osun State Governor Senator Ademola Adeleke thanked INEC, security agencies, and the people of Osun State for their roles in the conduct of what he described as a peaceful and credible election.
I really appreciate you, Mr. President, for making democracy to stay in Nigeria. That's all what we want. And I wish you all the best in that 2027 election. I've seen the opportunity that all my other contestants, they should please come over. Let's join hands together and let's do what you say forward.
The Governor Ademola Adeleke, the Accord candidate, was declared winner of the August 15 governorship election on Sunday after securing highest number of votes in a keenly contested poll. Olatunde Olajide, AIT News, Osogbo.
That's the world news on Kakaaki, the African Voice. Up next is Kakaaki Business. Stay with us.
Hello and welcome to Kakaaki Business. We start with inflation in the Eurozone. Eurozone annual inflation accelerated to 2.9% in July, up from 2.8% in June, confirming earlier estimates and keeping price growth above the European Central Bank's 2% target. The increase points to renewed pressure on household and business costs across the single currency bloc. Energy prices were the main driver, with energy inflation jumping 10.3% from 8.5% amid renewed hostilities between the United States and Iran. Underlying pressure also strengthened as service inflation rose to 3.3%, while inflation in non-energy industrial goods increased to 0.9%. Core inflation, which exclude energy and food, also accelerated to 2.5% from 2.4% in June. Food, alcohol, tobacco inflation, however, is to 1.2% from 1.5%, providing some relief to consumers. Among the region's major economies, inflation accelerated in Germany, France, Spain, and the Netherlands, while Italy recorded slight moderation. The latest figures could complicate the European Central Bank's efforts to balance price stability with economic growth. And the Bank of Indonesia has kept its benchmark interest rate unchanged at 5.75% for the second consecutive meeting, as central bank continues efforts to support the rupiah and contain financial risk. The decision was in line with market expectation. The odds follow a 50 basis point increase in June, with the central bank having raised rates by cumulative 100 basis points since May. The tighter monetary stance is aimed at attracting foreign capital and strengthening the rupiah after recent pressure on the currency. The decision also comes amid concerns about the independence of Bank Indonesia following the resignation of Governor Perry Warjio and the appointment of Senior Deputy Governor Destri Damayanti as interim governor. Meanwhile, annual inflation eased to 2.88% in July, remaining within the bank's target range. Bank Indonesia has maintained its 2026 economic growth forecast at between 4.9 and 5.7%. It also leaves its overnight deposit facility at 4.75% and lending facility at 6.5% as policymakers weigh currency stability against economic growth. Britain's annual inflation rate climbed to a 4-month high of 2.9% in July from 2.6% in June, and in line with market expectation. The increase adds to pressure on household and complicates the Bank of England efforts to bring inflation closer to its 2% target. Housing and household services provided the biggest upward contribution, with inflation in the category rising to 4.1% from 2.7%. The increase followed a 13% rise in the energy price cap, with gas prices surging 14.7% and electricity pricing rising 3.6%. Prices also increased for furniture and household goods, clothing and footwear alcohol and tobacco, as well as healthcare. However, transport inflation slowed to 3.6% from 5.7%, helped by lower motor fuel prices, while food inflation eased to 1.3%. On a monthly basis, consumer price rose 0.3% in July, matching forecasts. The latest figure suggests that inflationary pressure remained persistent, particularly from household energy costs, despite some moderation in food and transport prices. In Africa, South Africa's annual inflation rate has also eased more than expected to 4.3% in July, down sharply from 5% in June. The decline marks the first slowdown in 5 months and came below analysts' forecast of 4.5%. Lower transportation costs were a major factor behind the modernization, and transport inflation slowing to 8.9% from 12.7%. Fuel inflation also eased significantly to 20.6% from 34.3%, reflecting lower domestic petrol prices as global crude prices retreated from earlier highs. Food and non-alcoholic beverage inflation also moderated to 0.9%, supported by lower cereal prices and slower growth in meat prices. Inflation in housing, utilities, edged down as smaller municipal tariff increases provided some relief. Despite the headline slowdown, core inflation rose slightly to 4.2%, its highest level since July 2024. On a monthly basis, consumer prices increased 0.2% in July, down from 0.7% in June. Sharing news from Nigeria, as the United States Coast Guard has lifted the 12 years condition of entry restriction imposed on vessels calling at Nigerian ports, following improvement in the country's maritime security and compliance with international port security standards. The development was announced by the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adegboyega Oyetola. According to the minister, the U.S. Coast Guard conducted 4 comprehensive assessments of Nigeria's national maritime security framework and port facilities between March 2024 and April 2026. The assessment reportedly found significant progress in the implementation of the International Ship and Port Facility Security Code and the country's overall maritime security performance. Oyetola described the lifting of the restriction as a major milestone for Nigeria's maritime sector and an affirmation of improvement in the country's security architecture. He attributed the achievements to sustained efforts by the Federal Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy, the NAMASA, government agency, port operators, shipping companies, and other stakeholders. In aviation, travelers arriving at Nigeria's major airport are facing higher transport costs following the suspension of Uber and Bolt operations within terminal managed by the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, FAN. The restriction has led to vehicle shortages and disruptions, particularly at the Muritala Mohammed Airport in Lagos and the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja. With the e-hailing platform grounded, passengers are increasingly dependent on the few traditional airport cab operators still allowed to operate within the terminals. Report shows that fares has risen by more than 50%, with some passengers now paying about 35,000 naira or more for journey that previously cost around 20,000 naira. The suspension followed the July 30 directive by FAN ordering Uber and Bolt to cease commercial operation at all FAN-managed airports pending the finalization of formal license agreement. FAN has also introduced stricter requirements for airport car hire operators, including vehicle age specification and compulsory registration on a new digital booking platform. While FAN says the new system is intended to improve security, passengers tracking, and revenue collection, the enforcement has raised concerns among drivers and travelers. As negotiations with the ride-hailing companies continue, passengers are left to contend with fewer transport options, longer pickup arrangements, and significantly higher cost of moving to and through the airport. Nigeria's textile, apparel, and footwear manufacturers operated at just 53.05% of their installed capacity in 2025, leaving nearly half of the productive potential unused. An analysis of CBN and the NBS data shows the figure represents only a marginal improvement from 50.72% recorded in 2024, underscoring the persistent weakness in one of Nigeria's once thriving industrial sector. Capacity utilization fluctuated throughout the year, rising from 52.07% in the first quarter to 54.99% in the second quarter, before falling to 52.01% in the third quarter and recovering slightly to 53.12% in the fourth. The figure means manufacturers left about 47% of their installed production capacity idle despite renewed government efforts to revive the sector. The development comes as the Senate pushes for a total ban on textile imports, arguing that restricting foreign products could create room for local manufacturers to expand, create jobs and stimulate cotton production. But experts warn that an immediate ban without first rebuilding domestic production could create supply shortages, push up prices and encourage smuggling. Industry analysts say the deeper problem include high energy costs, expensive financing, outdated machinery, declining local cotton production, porous border and inconsistent government policies. They are calling for a phased industrial revival involving affordable electricity and finance, modern equipment, stronger cutting to textile value chain and integrated industrial parks rather than relying mainly on import restrictions. That's it on Kakaaki Business. Good morning.
And welcome to Get Fit in 60 Seconds with Dolly Phillips. Now everyone has 60 seconds in every day to spare. So if you're ready, let's go! Hey, hey, hey! Another interesting workout today is 180 jump squat. You're gonna have fun with this one. Are you ready? And your time starts now! Let's go! Hey! Hey, drop it low, like it's hot. Hey, hey, drop it low, like it's hot. Hey, come on. Don't stop. Now, if you can't jump, just turn. If you can't jump, just turn. But if you can, hey, have fun with this one. Love it. Make sure you're breathing. Don't ever hold your breath. 30 seconds left. Oh, I think it's 20 actually. Thank God. Come on. Slowly. Coming down to 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and time. Super job. Well done! I hope you had a great workout. Anyway, what I need you to do is to follow us on Instagram at Alpha Fitness Studios and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Alpha Fitness Studios, for free workout videos, free dance videos, sales and promos, and make sure you join us at the gym, Alpha Fitness Studios in Lekki Phase 1 next time you're in Lagos. So until the next time, bye-bye!
Hello, great people of Nigeria. Welcome to the Leadership Clinic. Today I'll be speaking to you on how to lead your boss. Yes, you can actually lead your boss. You can actually get your boss to be productive and help him accomplish more results. You can actually help your boss be in front, be number one, be the best he can ever be. You know what? One of the most important things that you must know as a leader is that you must have the ability to ensure your boss respects you. Like you already know, your boss has authority over you, but that doesn't mean you are powerless in that relationship. When you have a lot of emotional intelligence and executive intelligence, then you know that you are one of the smartest leaders. And when you are smart, then you learn how to actually lead your boss, not manipulate your boss, not deceive your boss, but strategically influence the relationship so both of you succeed. When your boss succeed, you succeed. When they look good, you look good. I remember when I used to work at a very important institution in this great country, my boss was such a very powerful cerebral individual, and he hired me actually as a research assistant, and I came on board and I decided to give myself executive assistant. I also gave myself political advisor. I gave myself personal assistant. I began to do things that were beyond my job description. So what happened was that I gained so much confidence. My boss trusted me so much that he allowed me to perform and be the best I could be. I could influence him with decisions. I could bring ideas to him. He would always say yes to those ideas. How did I do it? That's what I wanted to share with you today. First, understand what they care about. What are their goals? What are their metrics? What are they going to use in judging your success? Align your work with their priorities. You have not come to work for yourself, no matter how brilliant you are. Second, make them look good. Don't compete with your boss. Oh my God, support them. When they win, you celebrate. Your job is to make their job easy. Number third is anticipate needs. Don't wait until your boss tells you what to do. Don't wait until you are giving orders. Use your initiative and develop certain kind of environment where you're always the first one to generate what has to be done, and you go ahead and get it done. And the fifth thing is you must continue to be a solution provider, not just bring problems. You see, when you identify an issue, come up with at least 2 potential solutions. Show that you have been through a lot of success patterns before, and that will help you begin to position yourself like never before. Number 6, adapt to their style. Some bosses want detailed report, others want bullet points. Some just want frequent check-ins, others want autonomy. Learn their style and work within it, so that helps you build what I'm talking to you about. And finally, you must be reliable. Keep your word and let your boss trust you. When your boss gives you an assignment to do, don't complain. Get it done and build trust. You can't choose your boss, but you can choose how you work with them. Great people of Nigeria, you must remember, if a man doesn't have a purpose to waking up, sleeping becomes interesting.
Have you ever wondered why your spouse humiliates you in public but adores you in private? Now, each of us has been in the uncomfortable situation of having to hang out with another couple that sees no wrong in belittling or nagging one another in public. Perhaps the wife makes a comment about what the husband must do or what he should be wearing. The husband may tell the wife something that she cannot do or correct her in front of someone else. Or you may be married to one of the many people in this world who don't understand the shame and humiliation that occurs when another adult, especially a spouse, calls them out in front of others and corrects them. It is an embarrassing and frustrating thing to watch or be victim to. So why do spouses do this? Correcting your spouse in public is very, very wrong. A marriage is supposed to be about 2 people who love and respect one another equally. If one spouse feels that they have the right to humiliate or embarrass the spouse in public or in private, what exactly does this say about the marriage itself? Some things should be kept private, and the hope is that by the time people are matured enough to be married, they should understand both proper etiquette and the rules of engagement, which clearly dictates that some things should remain private. So if your spouse shames, disgraces, fronts, or corrects you in public, the first step is to confront your spouse, but in private, of course, and that you are well armed with specifics so that you can explain to him or her exactly what you mean. Then it may be a good idea to come up with a signal between the 2 of you should this happen again. You can communicate your discontent without retaliating. Couples who are having marital troubles also will correct each other in public as a means to have things arbitrated, of course. The hope is that people around will see things their way, but most often it causes others to form terrible impressions about both of you, but most especially the spouse who keeps disgracing the other in public. So stop criticizing your spouse to others. Stop sharing the details of your love life. Stop treating your spouse like a child. The bottom line is that no spouse is above the other, and it is an adult-to-adult relationship and should always be respected as that. Do not forget, children learn what you do and what they see, so stop it. Honestly, that's my 2 kobo.
All right, nice to know you're still there. It's the Thursday edition of Kakaaki, the African Voice. As I'm saying hello to you, let me use the opportunity to say hello to my tag team partner, Adora.
I said hello to you while I was doing the news, just across the tables.
That's great. Well, just to let you know that what's in store for us, yes, yesterday President Bola Tinubu announced the appointment of a new head of service, Abel Eniton. In a statement released on Wednesday, he's replacing Didi Wilson-Jack, who is yet to retire upon attaining the statutory retirement age of 60.
Indeed, Eniton from Osun State is the most senior permanent permanent secretary in the civil service, and of course the African Voice today, we will be looking at that, one of the conversations, and the Nigerian civil service, his capacity to interpret and implement government policies, and of course the tax ahead for the new head of service, benefit of him to all Nigerians, and of course how we're going to cope.
That's right, and joining us to discuss that will be Henry Shield. Henry Shield is head of mission in Nigeria at the Leadership and Accountability Initiative, and we'll also be talking about the most influential awards coming up this weekend, which promises to be a grand event. So stay tuned for that.
Indeed, I think, talking about the incoming, head of service who resumes his role on 27th of August, I think his pedigree also comes with a lot of experience.
Absolutely.
Having served close to 7 years as a permanent secretary, currently he's the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Education. He's also been detailed to have also served in the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Ministry of Police Affairs, and so he's had quite a lot of experience, and we hope that he continues to do the great work that Didi Wilson-Jack started.
Yeah, because I heard the feelings I get from her that she also did great stuff while she was there.
Absolutely.
So he's got big shoes to fill.
Indeed.
All right, it's Kakaaki, the African Voice, knocking on the top of the hour, and you know what happens at the top of the hour? Newspaper review.
Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live.
Information, education, entertainment. More than just a cliche, it's a way of life. It's our way of life on Kakaaki, the African Voice, talking to the people that matter.
The political space in Nigeria is largely not ideologically defined. The political party is more like a vehicle that conveys you from one point to the other.
Technically speaking, what government is doing is just refinancing. They are borrowing more money to pay the old ones, and it is not the way to go.
On the issues that matter.
The decentralization of the police force is, of course, will go a long way, because the state governors are answering the chief security officers, but when they don't have direct control on the security agencies, it makes their jobs very, very difficult.
Keeping you up to speed on what you need to know, when you need to know, and how you need to know. That's Kakaaki, the African Voice, Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on your channel of choice, Africa Independent Television, AIT. Kakaaki, the African Voice. The more you look, the more you see.
In today's global economy, information is everywhere.
Morning, and still staying with us. We are here bringing you the newspaper review this morning. Now we have a bumper package. The duos are here themselves.
The super duo themselves. The Thursday crew.
Absolutely.
Chooks and Chizobam. Nice to have you on the newspaper review once again. I think Chizobam was missing last week, wasn't she? So we'll take you present for today.
All right, so let's start. The Niners Daily Global is where we frontline this morning. And yes, it just says, wow, startling start this morning. Gunfire erupts in Oshobo as hoodlums attack a Deleke's convoy. And that's the front page of this morning's Daily Global. And you would find that on, of course, on our screen.
Okay, and
the Nigerian pilot.
Pilot comes next, yes.
And still talks about
tension in Oshobo, yes, with the riders there telling us that hoodlums attack Osun State Governor Adeleke's convoy. The attack at Atauja Palace was said to have triggered exchange of gunfire with governor's security personnel. And Governor Adeleke reportedly went to present his certificate of return to the monarch. And the fourth rider there says the State Commissioner for Information and Public Enlightenment has confirmed the attack. All
right, let's go to New Telegraph this morning. Gunmen, still that story running through. So gunmen attack a Deleke's convoy in Oshobo. Security operatives repel assailants. Governor receives certificate of return. Vows to heal, unite, build Osun. Unveils 500 million naira election victims fund. Osun Goba BON, and that's born, demands prosecution of election offenders.
Okay, do bear with us. We're still trying to get the pictures to show as we do the talking. We'll do that as soon as we can. So let's move to the gwg.ng. Adeleke escapes gunfire in Oshobo. That's still leading on that paper. That's it there, gwg.ng.
All right, let's also, you also see that front page story on GWG of Adeleke, of course, receiving his certificate of return alongside his deputy. Now, let's also go to Observer's Times. Observer's Times is looking at another lead story here and talks about Tinubu orders 5-year strategic defense plan to combat security threats. Now, if you go to the right, and maybe later on when it comes up, you see sets up 9-member high-powered committee to draft unified military blueprint, and that's one rider that is coming on the Observer's Times, and that's on the first page of the paper.
Well, the Daybreak also leads with that very same story. It tells us Tinubu moves to end fragmented security response. Tinubu moves to end fragmented security response, which is on this is the lead headline of the Daybreak, and it also has similar riders. Says orders 5-year national security blueprint for military intelligence, tasks Homeland Security advisor to coordinate threat assessment and strategic defense plan. And the third rider says new framework will unify defense intelligence operations under single threat assessment plan.
All right, the Daily Monitor looks at Tinubu approves National Threat Assessment 5-year defense plan, stresses need for coherent framework to respond to evolving security threats nationwide, directs EFCC to channel seized funds on claimed dividends to Nel Fund, and that's the rider to that story on the Daily Monitor front page.
Okay, to the leadership which moves away from Tinubu's defense plan and tells us that police arrest 40 for alleged robbery kidnapping in Abuja. Police arrest 40 for alleged robbery kidnapping in Abuja. The lead headline on the Leadership newspaper this Thursday.
And then going Nigerian News Direct straight up, and we see subsidy making its way on the front page of Nigerian News Direct. I'm sure we'll be bringing that to you. Front page, you will see it later on the screen. How subsidy removal unlocked 15.8 trillion naira, gave states financial lifeline. Oyedele speaks as 27 states get support to pay salaries from 10.4 trillion naira allocation. This comes to you on page 6 of the Nigerian News Direct.
And that's exactly what the Daily Asset leads with. FG saves 15.8 trillion from subsidy removal spends 30.64 trillion. And that has some riders there that tells us that wage hikes, allowances gulp 9.39 trillion, external debt servicing hits 9.37 trillion, and fiscal reforms prevented deeper economic crisis, according to Finance Minister Oyedele. All riders to the lead headline of the Daily Asset, which says FG saves 15.8 trillion from subsidy removal, spends 30.64 trillion.
All right, let's go to New National Star this morning, and well, sparkling still. We have no subsidy savings. Oyedele says minimum wage payments, allowances gulped 9.39 trillion in 31 months. Federal government borrowed 11.9 trillion naira in 2 years, and that's the rival to that story. You will find it on page 2 as well.
Okay, that story has also aroused the interest of the business NG. Petrol subsidy, Nigeria mobilized 15.8 trillion under Tinubu. Oyedele says wage increases, allowances cost 9.39 trillion from savings. That's the lead headline of the business NG. Petrol subsidy, Nigeria mobilized 15.8 trillion under Tinubu.
Some happy stories at the bottom page of that paper. Sanwo-Olu gives 20 million naira each to LASU's best graduating students, and that's on page 2. 20 million. That's from the front page of the business NG. But going to Business Diary this morning, economic reforms create 20.4 trillion naira fiscal space as federal government borrows 11.9 trillion naira in 2 years, and that's the lead story coming front page.
Okay, let's move over to the authority. We've got Mr. Authority himself right in front of us, who's going to tell us more about that later. FG approves 242 billion unclaimed dividend, EFCC recoveries to fund students' loan. FG approves 242 billion unclaimed dividends, EFCC recoveries to fund students' loans.
All right, still looking at now from blueprints is also right in a way on that, and says
also defend that too later
and speak to it authoritatively. It says Tinubu boosts NELFON with EFCC recovered loot, unclaimed dividends, dormant funds, allows or explains affected assets. FEC approves 155.3 billion naira for National Library. That story on fuel subsidy is still also on their front page as well, if you check on the page of 8.
Okay, the Daily Sun also leads with what the authority and blueprint are leading with. FG to channel unremitted pension, EFCC recoveries to education sector. FG to channel unremitted pension, EFCC recoveries to education sector, the lead story in today's Daily Sun.
Now, let's move to Al Jazeera, Nigeria this morning, and we do see them taking a turn to political stories. Here they write 2027 credibility of elections non-negotiable, and that's coming from Mark, condemns Osun election violence, and that's the front page of the Al Jazeera, Nigeria this morning.
Okay, we will go back to the issue of the federal government savings and spending with the Whistler. Whistler leads with FG borrows 11.85 trillion naira despite 15.8 trillion naira subsidy savings. FG borrows 11.85 trillion despite 15.8 trillion subsidy savings.
All right, let's also look at this Nigeria this morning. This Nigeria is looking at mental health. However, says Nigeria confronts rising mental health crisis. Health Minister Partey cites over 7,000 suicide deaths annually, targets 15% cut in figures decriminalizing suicide attempts as reform seeks to replace punishment with care, and that's what this Nigeria is looking at. And that story just opposite the masthead, I think, is very important to highlight. $1 trillion economy impossible without women.
I knew you would have missed that out.
Whatever, and that's on page 5 of this Nigerian newspaper. Now let's come back to our reviewers here. Perhaps Chizoba ladies first. I'll start with you. Gunfire erupts in Osogbo in attack on Governor Leke's convoy. Daily Global took that pilot, New Telegraph. Your paper paper at some point. GWG, how do you look at this story post-election? Yes.
It's very disturbing because in run-up to the election, there were a lot of crises, fights, even gun battle with almost 100 deaths recorded in the process. And now that the elections have been won and lost, and most of the candidates have even accepted the outcome of the election, one now begins to wonder why the attack. According to the police, that the governor was not targeted. They said it was Davido, his nephew, that was targeted. But it does not even matter. No matter who is targeted, why do we need to target each other? Whether it's because we disagree politically or not. And it's happening on a day when the election campaigns have started.
Yeah.
So you begin to wonder, are we going to continue seeing things like that? But expectation is that all the parties, the candidates, will focus on issue-based campaigns and forget about attacks. That they will tell Nigerians what they can do and the roadmap to achieving it, because we've always heard, even in the just concluded Osun election, where somebody is saying, well, you will give 24 hours electricity. How do you achieve that? Security, you will increase the revenue base of, how do you achieve that? Because that is the question. Because the promises we had in 2023, we almost, most of it has not been achieved. So we should look at a situation where you're telling us what you want to do, also tell us how you intend to achieve it. And then for us at the electorate, we should also not be sentimental, because sometimes there are a lot of primordial issues that becloud our judgment. Because they say the people get the government they deserve. In the essence that if you look at he's from my ethnic group, he's from my religious, whatever, and you vote for the person, and he doesn't perform, we have ourselves to blame. So we are looking forward to issue-based campaign devoid of violence and mudslinging.
Okay, let's get back to Osogbo Chuks. I just only hope that the security agencies are not too far away and probably do a U-turn and get back there if these reports are anything to go by.
Yeah, but very quickly, before the program started, we spoke about the new.
We're coming to that.
Okay. I'd like to make some things. But it's interesting because, like Chizoba said, the commissioner for information in Osun State, he said the governor was targeted. The police said the governor wasn't the target, that it was Davido. And Davido actually came out last night to tweet that it was about misunderstanding outside that had nothing to do with the governor. So and that leaves you wondering. And at the end of the day, one man, a 60-year-old man, was said to have been killed in the gun violence. So, like Chizoba said, whether governor, whether Davido, whether a passerby, the fact remains that must anybody die because the governor, is visiting the Ataoja of Osogbo. It's I have thought that with elections won and lost, that people would have gone beyond that, to actually look forward to the governor's re-inauguration.
And it's pretty difficult for someone to say that it has nothing to do with the election if it's an attack on the governor. I mean, I don't. And
it keeps it. Like I said, I spoke about the police angle, and then Davido himself coming out to say that no lies. He said lies, and so it keeps you, because the governor's the spokesperson for the state is saying that this attack was on the governor. The governor's nephew is saying it's not true. The police is saying it's not true. But that's the point I'm making. Whether if it's the governor's convoy or whoever, for that matter, must anybody be targeted as a result of disagreement? Gone back, even where the governor and a sacred ground. The Ataoja's palace that ordinarily we don't have those things as well in Yoruba land. Where such places are seen as holy ground. For somebody to have actually had the thought of coming to actually open gunfire there. It's actually
unfathomable.
Exactly.
Given that there could be a high level of casualty.
Because such public place. The governor was visiting the Ataoja. We can imagine how many people were around there. So if it was a case of what do you call it, accidental discharge or whatever, definitely one person or the other
would have done. And it's instructive too, when he was receiving his certificate of return, he was calling to other party members who went in the election with him to come together to unite to do work and build Osun State. So that's also
that's a nice way to repay such nice work.
I must commend Governor Adeleke because very few people in this part of the world actually are magnanimous, in victory. But the governor has tried to, he's demonstrated so much, uncommon statesmanship, after he was declared winner. He didn't behave like, I told you so. He was like, he really demonstrated that, in word and in deed, he's a jolly good guy.
I told you so.
He said no victor.
Let's still stay on the issue of security. Tinubu orders 5-year strategic defense plan to combat security threats. And you can see that in the front pages of the Observer's Times, Daybreak, and the Daily Monitor. Another twist in the fight against the bad guys.
No, but it's very interesting because the advisor on Homeland Security, the president, was appointed about 3 months ago, and after his appointment, nothing, very little was heard of the appointment. Even when the appointment came, there are a lot of stories about about what the appointment, the implication of the appointment for someone like the NSA, Nuhu Ribadu, and given that this man is a retired general, don't forget that when Nuhu Ribadu was appointed the NSA, it took a lot of people by surprise. But even it was controversial because initially people said if it was a national security advisor or the personal advisor to the president on security, because given that history of Nigeria, all the NSAs, most of the NSAs have been retired military officers, and then Ribadu's appointment, later state. But you see, I think there's a gradual shift in the president's preference for who advise more on national security, because look at what happened is a security analyst called me yesterday and said, so our NSA has now been reduced to a member of a defense committee, from actually heading, he's now a member of this. So I think, it's going to...
Were there expectations it was going to lead that committee?
Not sure. Everything that has to do with security in Nigeria is actually anchored by National Security Advisor. So even like when the Homeland Security Advisor was appointed, the question at the time was, what role will he play? Because if you look at the Homeland Security all over the world, we all know what it means. Everything that has to do with security in the country, Homeland, is on his table. But yesterday the president said, okay, I'm appointing this committee, and you can turn in reports, and then this man heads.
It looks like we're heading with what's going on. We're heading for some sort of harmonization there. If you look at the front page.
But to be fair, the president said something which interested me. Which is very interesting, because if you like, he mentioned the attack, the rescue operation in Oyo State. The truth is that all over the world, not just in Nigeria, they have always, security agencies have always worked across purposes because each wants to take credit for.
Yes. Yes, I was referring to the third rider here in the Observer's Times.
If you watch movies in America, so it's like the president, and if you work that way, you wouldn't achieve results. So like in the run-up to the rescue, the rescue in Oyo State, the president met with all security chiefs and told them that this is the problem we have.
Okay, because so many things are good, for what I was used. That's the second time you've stopped me from referring to this time, so I will do it this time. The third driver says security spending procurement to be tied to new agency framework. She's about that. I saw you nodding while you were talking.
It's a welcome development, but Nigeria sometimes we seem to be indulging so much in committees, policies, and all. It's the implementation. The funds is a welcome development because we know that funding is a big issue in security. Most times we are doing catch-up in terms of equipping the military and the security. We can't continue that way given the magnitude of problem we have in the country. So anything that will solve the problem is welcome. And Nigerians want to see results, not always reading these amounts, this committee and all. we look forward to a station where we will do newspaper review without talking. I saw something about an FCT, 40
arrested.
So almost on daily basis you have that. So we are looking forward to a station where we actually get the proper solution to this problem.
I even like the way the Daybreak put it. Says,
yes, so I will just comment on that. Yes, so it's the tax Homeland Security Advisor to coordinate threat assessment and strategic defense plan. But what I'm looking at is the 90 days. He's also giving a timeline to it, to bring forward the results from that assessment in 90 days. And you're somebody who always talks about the deadlines and the timelines. Yeah.
I always have issue with timelines, but you can actually not work effectively without having a target, whether you try to meet it. So we hope that they can meet it, but most of what they need is already on ground, I want to believe. We know most of what these issues entail. It's just probably bringing it together as a document, as it were, or a policy. So let's hope for the best. But like I always keep saying, these targets, we only meet it.
Yeah.
All the ones
probably because there are too many targets. And it has another thing. Yes. All right, let's move away from security now to the economy and other related issues. How subsidy removal unlocked 15.8 trillion, gave states financial lifeline. That's according to Finance Minister Taiwo Oyedele. I think that's on the Nigerian News Direct, and a couple of other papers flew with that. Lots of people have been talking about the subsidy removal, even up till tomorrow. You still get people talking about it and how it probably was ill-timed and not properly prepared for. But the finance minister has come out to give some sort of account. Do you think that his account is satisfactory?
Yeah, it depends. In life, you can tell people, you can make explanations. It now depends on the mindset of the person you're talking to, because the truth is that he's going to say, okay, yes, we did this, we got over 15 trillion naira from this, but we don't have a special dedicated account for that. What we're doing now, we're applying back all these savings. Like states now get more money. It's very rare now to see any governor who's not paying salaries like before. Before, most state governors, the previous administration, most state governors couldn't pay salaries. But it's now that states now have more money. They can actually, and there's kind of healthy competition amongst the governors these days. You see, like it's no longer, and I keep talking about this evolution. In life, society is what you call sui generis. It's in a state of, movement. You see that if you look at there's what Igbo say called Mwafena. That Mwafena means a child.
Yeah, you're talking to me here.
No, I know. I'm trying to explain. I'm trying to interpret that. Like this assumption that a child should fare better than the father. That's and even in natural science, you have what they call the theory of evolution. You see that most times, when you have offsprings tend to be better, than their progenitors. You understand? So if you see that those issues we still have in the class of 99 governors, when the second set of governors came, things improved. And also people also discovered that you can steal all the money you want to steal, in a few years you become a relic. Yeah. Because look at all the governors that stole their statesmen. Where are they today? You understand? So I keep saying this thing, public money, you can't get rich by stealing public money. It's never happened anywhere in the world. Look at all the drug lords, the fraudsters, because it's not your money. Sometimes it's not yours. You can't keep what definitely is not yours. You don't have an issue. But you see that most governors now, no matter how you look at it, if you go to most state capitals, the faces of most state capitals are changing. It's not like healthy rivalry among the governors. You go to backwater states, states capitals that used to be like villages. You see, they're now having this new look, overhead bridges, street lights everywhere, and you say, wow. No, that's the truth. So that's what the minister was saying yesterday. That if in case you're asking, we want to know where this money is at. The governors now have more money. But
there was also a report, I don't know if you followed it, about states who, in terms of capital expenditure, the tabular, there was a tabular form of states who were not doing so well, from crossover to Imo to Nassau, and then of course it rose to Lagos State in terms of budgetary allocations and IGR. And so it still goes to where is the money going? Actively, and I know that's what Chidaba wants to speak to.
At the end of the day, okay, like look at trust save, questions over 1.58 trillion subsidy savings, and there's a quote there saying the benefits are nothing because the poverty index increased because people were paying more. It's about inflation. You're making more money. People are still complaining about inflation. A lot of families are actually complaining. Some can't even afford to pay fees. And like Whistler put it, you made 15.8. You borrowed
11.85
despite that.
Yes.
So it's not reconciling. There are more questions than answers as it were. And for Nigerians, the promises that were given, that they will benefit from the subsidy, is not there.
It's manifesting.
They are not feeling it. The fuel prices increase, inadvertently transportation, food prices and all of that, but they are not feeling what you got for. If you're talking about state government, like Ada pointed out, how many of them are actually street lights? Infrastructure, yes, is good, but like they say, you have to be alive to drive on a good street. So you need to invest more.
Talking about money trickling down to the states, another complaint is that according to this autonomy talk, it's also supposed to trickle down to the local governments, and that's not happening, and a lot of people are angry with that.
It's a very huge challenge. It's a very, I grew up as a child. I was raised in a small town called Bashita in Kwara State, in the local government area of the state. And when I was in primary school, we had everything. In my primary school, we had everything people had in Lagos, My primary school, we had tennis, we had the tennis courts, we had swimming pool, we had everything. So we didn't care. We didn't have to go to London to enjoy these things. Because, look at how the president took, or the Attorney General took the state governors to court, to say, okay, let's do this. And Supreme Court gave its judgment on that. But because we always try to outsmart the system, if you look at implementation, how becomes a problem, because they said that if you do not amend the constitution, there's always a lacuna for some of these governors to exploit.
Okay. And
that's why you have done that. And why is it still possible that, look at what happened in Bauchi State a few days ago. Any governor who conducts local government election, if he's in party A or party Z,
landslide.
The party ends up winning. So it makes nonsense of what you call local government, or what is supposed to be local autonomy. You understand? So it means any governor that differs from party A to party B and holds elections the following day, they ask yourself.
He's moving with his structures anyway.
Yeah.
You could also
because if you do not empower the local government areas, because you see, look at Abuja for instance. I've been in Abuja for about 25 years. No matter how much infrastructure you want to put here, you see there's a lot of pressure on. There's what they call the bright lights theory in rural urban migration in sociology. People want to go to where the bright lights are.
Yeah.
So if you do not put these bright lights in these towns, look at some states like Enugu, for instance.
We need to go, because we just have about a minute to go. Just as you respond, this Nigeria also debuted with $1 trillion economy impossible without women. While we're talking economy, we must speak to that. And I think it's very important. And while you speak to that, also yes, the federal government approves 242 billion naira unclaimed dividends, EFCC recoveries to fund student loans. But speak a bit to the women economy and then back to this.
Certainly, women have a lot of roles to play, but you know that it's like we're excluded. When you have almost half of your population excluded in politics, in economics, and all in the economy and all of that. So it's a good point that women are brought forward, and a lot of women are trying. But see what happened in the primaries. There's practically absence of women. Even the bill we pursued has not seen the light of the day, and is not even likely in this cycle. So for me, like I wanted to say, investment in food security, health and education, I think it's the best way that will trickle down, whether it's from the local government, state, and all. Certainly. And when you talk about food security, the issue of insecurity is a big issue. Even the states that used to farm, canned farm. So at the end of the day, we are looking at a situation where if cost of food items is basic, every other thing is amenity is important, but like I said, we have to be alive to enjoy those amenities.
Well, I'm going to let you go soon, but not let you go before you defend what you have put on your papers. And that's going to take us to the last talking point. FG approves 242 billion naira unclaimed dividend EFCC recoveries to fund students' loans. Now, both your papers have that.
It's okay, but it should be tracked. Accountability is key. It's not just putting the funds there. We should be able to track the fund and ensure that it's actually being used for what is earmarked for.
That's the best summary I've heard for a long time. Chooks, can you match it?
no, exactly. It's, first of all, you ask yourself, is it the chicken first or the egg? The funds have been allocated, then, of course, mapping it. And I think I've had a lot of people who have come online to say that they've been beneficiaries of student loans. And sometimes because we get so pessimistic that we don't even try. You see, some person will say, there's no need trying, so they don't even apply for it. How do you get something you never applied for? So first apply, and then let's take it up from there.
I think Chizoba beat you hands down when it comes to
That's how ladies first.
All right, guys, I think we just going to have to leave it like that. It's been great, which we could go on for a few minutes more, but we just have to leave it like that for now.
Well, thank you so much for your insight, Chicks, as always, very clear and precise.
Thank you.
Well, we'll take a quick break and we'll come back. Our first guest is here to also talk about the new
head of civil service and civil service in general. Stay with us.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live. In the hallowed chambers where laws are forged and a nation's destiny is decided.
This is your parliamentary program, Inside the Parliament on AIT.
Voices rise, opinions clash, debates ignite.
We cannot be apologetic in the discharge of our constitutional duties as lawmakers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The burden of proving that the elections have been conducted peacefully and in accordance with law must shift to INEC.
From the Senate to the House of Representatives, this is where policies are tested, laws are crafted, and authority is held to account.
We spoke to some lawmakers on their opinions of the document presented by the President.
Every motion, every argument carries the hopes of millions.
We need more hospitals, more health clinics in communities so that they can effectively take care of the primary health need of our people.
The questions are tough. The exchanges are intense.
Mr. President, you can have your way, but I will have my say. You can use the gavel, and I will use my voice.
And those who want the proviso are 55 in number. And so the proviso says.
But who truly stands for the people? Who is driving the change that defines our tomorrow?
Let us tell ourselves the truth. Why are we here talking about LGBT, GTBT, whatever?
Get the answers on Where Nigeria Decides on Inside the Parliament on AIT every Tuesday, 4:30 p.m. The issues as they break, the multitude, the political figures, the state and non-state actors.
There is a serious threat to democracy.
And our governments seem to be incapable of protecting.
The scheming.
This is not a period we should say bow and go.
Every part of this country is equal.
The intrigues.
There can be no one person that is bigger than the party.
Deft moves and the momentous declaration.
We didn't get any protection. I'm not particularly against
candidates. We track and capture them all.
I don't believe in godfatherism in politics.
Follow in-depth analysis and no-holds-barred interviews.
Armed forces of the country is well capable. They need the political will.
Are they just waking up from sleep? Is there complacency?
Feel the pulse of happenings in the political arena on AIT Democracy Today. Widely acclaimed authority on politics. Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. Nigerian time.
All right, nice to know you're still there. It's the Thursday edition with Kakaaki, the African Voice. And if you've been with us since we got started at 6 a.m. local time, we say well done. And like we told you earlier, we'll be talking about Nigeria's civil service. Yes, yesterday, President Bola Tinubu announced the appointment of a new head of service, Abel Eniton. In a statement released on Wednesday, Eniton is to replace Didi Wilson-Jack, who is set to retire upon attaining the statutory retirement age of 60. Now, to many, his appointment came as some sort of surprise, as there was a bit of hue and cry over what was going to happen next. So we'll be looking at this and other matters relating to Nigeria's civil service and how it can be meaningful to interpret government's policies and be useful to Nigerians. And joining us to do that,
of course, is Henry Shield, Head of Mission Nigeria Leadership and Accountability Initiative. It's great to have you.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me here.
It's great to see you.
Even though you woke me up earlier than
they say too much sleep is not good for the health, really, so we're probably doing you a favor. Okay, well, I mean, a lot of people were taken aback by the appointment of Abel Eniton as the new head of service. But a lot of people are saying he's the right guy for the job.
The guy is fantastic. When I say fantastic, he is fantastic. You know, the civil service defines how a government performs. You can have good agenda, you can have good policies, you can have good things, but the implementation is carried out by the civil service system. This particular individual, I've never met him before. He's been PAMSEC, Police Affairs, PAMSEC, Humanitarian Affairs. The last one was PAMSEC, Office of the Vice President, before he was made this PAMSEC. He's actually the highest ranking PAMSEC in Nigeria. So we need to give kudos to the president. President Tinubu is not playing politics with the civil service system, and that is what we actually expect. Since 1961, when the civil service was created, we've always had this. There's always a system where the highest ranking takes it. This one takes it. I want to say that the president, because believe me sincerely, a lot of interest, knowing that the current head of service would retire by 27th, a lot of people have started lobbying, bring our person, or even extend the tenure of this one. The president putting his foot down. Me, I am personally commending President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. This is one of the most fantastic, this is one of the most wonderful actions he has taken. You know the message he is sending to the civil service? He's telling them that you are you. Your job is to hold the nation administratively. Absolutely. Go ahead, there will be no political interference. So anybody coming to say our interest or bring money, we want to be
and if you do the work, you get
if you do the work, this man has maybe till December to retire.
Which is when he turns to 60, and that's about just 6 months roughly.
About 4-5 months. It shows that someone who just joined the civil service today also has hope. It shows that when it is their time to either become PAMSEC or nobody is going to play politics or meddle in that appointment trajectory.
But Henry, you say he's the right guy, but we're only going to end up with the right guy for about 4 months.
How much work can he do within that?
You can do a whole lot in 24 hours. When the late President Buhari was elected and sworn in, for the first 3 weeks, 1 month of his election, we had stable power supply. He didn't have to call the head of AEDC or NEPA or anything. They just knew the man who came in was a no-nonsense man. Do you understand? So this Enitan Olumuwa of a person, I think if you look at the history of his stay in civil service and his ascension to office now, he's been such a guy that in those 4 months, in the next 4 months, we will see, or we can see a whole lot happen. He's a very decent guy. See, and like I said, I've never met him. But as an analyst, do you understand? As an analyst, my job is to do investigations and things and research about people. He is a very decent guy. I've dealt with some palmsecs, and they are wonderful, in quote, people.
So let me come here. So what I hear you say is that he's apolitical and will remain an institution player rather than, and somebody working for the extension of the ruling party.
No. He doesn't have any. Even if you tell him, he will tell you, like, what I've researched about him is not just is he apolitical and non-partisan, he is a man that is content with what life has given to him. So he is more about legacy. What do I do? How do I leave my name? So everywhere he has served, if you go and ask people who worked under him, they will tell you,
let's not run the risk of turning this into the Abel Enitan show and talk about the civil service a bit more. I mean, Nigeria's civil service is characterized by enormous bureaucracy. I mean, producing memos, meetings, committees, reports, and approvals. I mean, how much of this over time has translated into benefits for the government and the people?
No. The civil service can do better and should do better. I will tell you, the pace at which a government records any achievement is determined by the commitment of the civil service to that policy, plan, or dream. The civil service in Nigeria is very archaic. The civil service in Nigeria needs a tuning up. The civil service in Nigeria is not yet in the 21st century in thinking, in action, in behavior, even in relationship with the public. The current civil service needs a lot of tuning, and we are hoping that Mr. Enitan is going to bring fresh blood, fresh ideas and things. If the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is going to achieve anything as a president, it has to be that the civil service is committed to its own policies. If they are not, I don't want to give some instances. If the civil service is not committed to you, if they are not in tune, or if they are not in love with your vision or dream for the country, you will be on TV every day announcing, this is what we plan to do, tax reforms, we are going to do this, and they will be laughing at you.
So Henry, what does it take for that commitment to be met with? Because I'm asking this, the present head of service is said to be a strong advocate for welfare and productivity, and just on the process of implementing the new minimum wage of 75,000 naira, which some say, many say in fact, is grossly inadequate. Do you think that performance, will meet productivity with this kind of
this 4 months he has? I don't know how much can be achieved in 4 months, but I believe that his commitment to the progress of the civil service and the country is not in question. What is important is that he gets all the backings from the president that he needs. A lot can be done. Now you go to a ministry, you submit a letter, and 2, 3, 4, 5 months later, they are looking for your letter. Ordinarily, when you submit a letter, it should be imputed into a system. So even if you're in China or...
You should have an acknowledgement with date on it and all of that. to be able to get to the file.
Oh, you've not heard of missing files? I have experienced missing files. You understand? And these are part of, you don't even need, a lot of people come to Abuja just because they want to come and follow up on their files. Yeah. We need a civil service that is technology driven. You don't need to come. Once you submitted your letter, in fact, you can even do a lot of applications online. But I'll tell you something. Do you know all the ministries in Nigeria? Education, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Defense, all of them, try and call the numbers on their website. None of them goes.
The number you have called does not exist.
None of them goes. And that, I want us to really take this, that is a stain on us as a people. I don't need to fly in from America to come to Abuja to come and follow up or to come and ask a question about agriculture. How can I invest? I represented a company from Austria who were into banking. They wanted to start up. Do you know they sent a letter to, and it took more than a year. I had to go and ask. They requested my ID card, my international passport, before they could give me the response they were supposed to have sent a year ago. So Mr. Inito has a lot ahead of him. This 4 months, it can become the most what do you call it? The most impactful head of civil service we've had. It can become the person who turns things around. You go to federal secretariat, people are coming to work by 10. Why? Because there's no digital system for them to
clock in.
So people come at whatever time they need. These are things that he needs to look at. And the issue of correspondence with the public. If, for instance, there is power outage somewhere, I should be able to pick up my phone and call the Ministry of Power. But when you go and check the website, the number that is there was a ministry I called one time. The guy told me he was in Kano. That he had been telling them that they should remove his number from the website. A government ministry. No, it speaks badly of us as a people. Okay, check any ministry in Ghana. Call their numbers. They will get somebody that will speak to you. Check any ministry in Niger. Check any ministry in Hong Kong. Check anywhere. If your ministry, and you know what, it needs to look at the digital environment, and the whole ecosystem. Let us have a civil service that is not cumbersome. People don't need to flock into an office. And you know why most of these things happen? Is because you need to come and fill up your file. When you come and fill up your file, at least boys need something for the weekend now.
You see, you've touched on one or two areas which I think we're still going to, if we have time, get back to address. Now, some people listed that some of a major task ahead of the new head of civil service is that over time the civil service has been flooded by what people have termed as generalists and not enough specialists.
Yes. Yes. You go to Ministry of Education. Okay, let's even look at the FCT, Ministry of because what we call the Minister of the FCT is actually the Ministry of the FCT. It is called FCTA, Federal Capital Territory Administration. So Wike is not just Minister of FCT, he's Minister of the FCTA, right? In this ministry, like we witnessed 3-4 days ago, flooding all over the city. A proper working civil service will have its engineers, will have, you understand, specialists in different areas. Look at what are the causes of these things that we're having that is affecting the lives of people. It wouldn't be a politician making statement, generalistic statement like you said.
Yes.
It would be experts. So if you're talking about someone who studied banking and finance can be found working in Ministry of Environment. That depletes efficiency. That tones down their capacity to work. Let when you're saying generally, okay, everybody, once you're a graduate, just bring your CV, we'll just fix you anywhere. No, let's have Nigeria
round pegs and round holes.
Nigeria has a lot of graduates who studied specialized courses. Let's have environmentalists in Ministry of Environment. Let's have people who are into building, engineers, and in Ministry of Housing or Ministry of Works. Let's not have a doctor in Ministry of Works. Let's not have. Do you understand what I'm saying?
If you talk like this, you might end up getting me sacked because I'm a graduate of finance. And you better watch.
Hold on. You're a graduate of finance. Now, this is a media house.
Yeah.
Do you not think they need a professional in finance here? Be sincere.
Or finance communications, which he's been doing so.
Do you understand? So you're not out of your habitat or environment.
You're getting me scared.
Okay, so let's come back to the issue of, for me, it's the conversation around corruption within the civil service.
Yes.
And the PFIPC case amplified some loopholes when Wilson Jack was brought for the public hearing at the National Assembly. She did also admit that there were perhaps some administrative loopholes.
Lapses, yes.
There are issues within that. How do you think Anita will bring his experience to the bear?
That's one of the things. Our job is to place these things before him. Our jobs are to encourage him that a civil service that allows a pseudo agency to be created within it is not a civil service that any country would be proud of. So Eniton has a lot ahead of him. Number one is to clean up the system. He can do it. He is someone you cannot hold and say, maybe I did you a favor last 2 years or something. You understand what I'm saying? If you look at him, I spent like several hours studying this man, and I'm praying. I hope he succeed. I'm praying that for the sake of this country, he has to succeed. We need to have a civil service where
that he has.
You understand? We need the formula there because he knows that after 4 months he's leaving. So there is a target. There is, I don't know what you call it. There is he already knows that his time is limited. So those 4 months are not 4 months for him to come and be gallivanting around or you understand?
Just holding frivolous meetings.
You have 4 months to define how you are remembered for the rest of your life, and God has been magnanimous to you. It is not everybody who got to PAMSEC that gets to be made head of service. So you have been made head of service even when you didn't even lobby for it, even when you didn't do anything for it. So he has 4 months to make his mark, and he can mop up he can clean up the civil service. Number one is the issue of recruitment needs to first of all be, there needs to be a standard. Politicians should not be able to influence the influx of people into the civil service.
Their own list.
You understand? And believe me, there are lists.
Very long list.
I don't even want to talk. No, I'm not joking. There are lists. And this list of favoritism, you understand, is the reason why it looks like civil service is not even effective. Okay, the president came in 2023 and said, this is my plan. These are the things I want to achieve. Civil service should ordinarily, as the moment he was sworn in as president, they would pass on their loyalty to him. They should ordinarily latch on to his plans for the country and see how they are able to translate, because Tinubu is a politician. He is not the one to come and be, you understand? It is the civil service that is the engine room of any administration, and they need to be involved in policy, even policy development, not policy making, even the development. I want to, in the next 4 years, I want all Nigerians to have light. You need to bring the civil service in. You don't just make a political statement and then allow them to just, they will not be, there's something about the blue economy. I'm still trying to understand that ministry.
Yeah.
You understand? Up to now.
I didn't know that economies had colors either, you know, to tell you the truth. Yeah. But Henry, just before we let you go, because you said that your job, a job like people like ours, is to set some sort of agenda
yes.
for the
Yes.
new head of service.
Yes.
Now, I mean, perhaps we could help by presenting a scale of preference for him. I mean, where do you think he should start, since he only has 4 months?
Now, if it is possible, let him try and digitalize the civil service of the country. If he can do that, and you know what? It is even it's a very easy thing to do. There is the ministry, Ministry of Communications. This was led by this young man, what's his name? I've forgotten his name now.
Tijani Bosun.
And Bosun is actually working. But because his work is not building roads like Wike, people can't see what he's doing. But these guys are laying foundations for the digitalization of the whole national system. The head of civil service should please not just see these 4 months as the 4 months to just come. I am now head of civil service, sit down, go home at night, come in the morning, go home at night. Let it be a 4 month of transformation. Help the president to succeed. If you can digitalize the operations of the civil service, you will have done what no one has ever done. So contractors don't need to flood into the country. Contractors don't need to come and start giving bribes to people that, oh, help me pass my file. You can't go to any ministry in Abuja today without dropping money. None. Even if you're just going to give a commendation letter to a minister. You understand? If it is possible for him to transform the operations from this paper, we're carrying paper, to just decide, let's people, I can be in China and just check which office I submitted the data to the minister. It has moved from minister to PAMSEC to the director of admin to director of project, director of project to cover. You understand what I'm saying? I should be able to check that on my phone. I don't need to come to Abuja and be giving somebody 1 million, 2 million, help me to pass my file. If he can do that, Eniton will be remembered as the most anyway, let me not say, besides, it doesn't look like when he's trying to praise him, he was just appointed yesterday, so he has a lot ahead of him. Then the recruitment, please, let's put professionals where their specialties take them. Let's not put a banker in Ministry of Housing. Let's not put approving loans. A banker in the Ministry of Housing.
There may be specific areas where you need certain skills.
The banker in the Ministry of Health may not be the right thing to do, really.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Because that is what is going on. You go. Every governor has his own list. Every senator has a list of people they want to take. Even if the person studied agriculture, you will suddenly see the person working in Ministry of Aviation. I'm not joking. If he can, he has 4 months. So there is nothing anybody can do to him in the next 4 months.
Even veterinary medicine, you find them in.
So if that works, do you know it makes our jobs easier? You know that this is what is required. This is what you should be doing. And civil service, no government, no administration. Let me not say government because civil service is part of the government. No administration can succeed without an effective civil service. None. They can mess you up and they can make you do well. So for Eniton Olumiwa, I trust anyway. From the name, I think he's from the southwest, right?
He's from Osun State.
Osun State. Okay, so that means that his brother is the president. He has no choice. He must make sure that he assists the president to succeed, and we pray that the president.
Let's hope it doesn't turn into some kind of backball as well, really. These things have their good and their.
No. Let him just do his job. He has digitalize the civil service.
Absolutely.
It makes life easy for everyone.
That's one good
salaries, promotions, rewards. Those things, so that you wouldn't be like, a senator is calling you, please, my brother is the one in this, try and give him promotion. Do you understand? The system is digitalized. He already knows how efficient you are. Your last task, did you perform it well? If you did, it will rate you. So your promotion is not delayed, it's not politically decided. You have a government, and you know one thing with civil services, any government that comes, whether it's PDP, whether it's APC, whether it's Labour, they must work with the civil service. So we need a civil service that is, number one, independent, number two, efficient. When I say efficient, they need to be able to do their jobs without political, overbearing. You get what I'm saying?
All right,
All right.
Thank you.
Just before I go, I wanted to just, on a humorous note, you said about people in the Ministry of Aviation, aviation graduates working in the Ministry of Agriculture. So maybe they need to fly around and spray insecticides. I mean, you need some kind of aircraft to do that. I don't know.
No. I am praying that.
So then we have to go.
No. Please, I am praying that we don't have agriculturists in charge of Ministry of Aviation. You and I fly.
Thank you so much, Henry Shields. We've been talking about, of course, the new head of service and what is expected of him, but most importantly, what is expected in turning the civil service around. And he says, let's go digital. And I think that's the fulcrum of this conversation.
Absolutely.
A lot lays in front of him. Well, thank you, Henry.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. I'm very grateful.
Thank you. All right, it's time for us to go to Kakaaki Socials. That's the socials, I call her. She is here, and top of the hour. We can't wait to see what she brings us delightfully. We'll be right back.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live.
In the hallowed chambers where laws are forged and a nation's destiny is decided.
This is your parliamentary program, Inside the Parliament on AIT.
Voices rise, opinions clash, debates ignite.
We cannot be apologetic in the discharge of our constitutional duties as lawmakers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The burden of proving that the elections have been conducted peacefully and in accordance with law must shift to INEC.
From the Senate to the House of Representatives, this is where policies are tested, laws are crafted, and authority is held to account.
We spoke to some lawmakers on their opinions of the document presented by the President.
Every motion, every argument carries the hopes of millions.
We need more hospitals, more health clinics in communities so that they can effectively take care of the primary health need of our people.
The questions are tough. The exchanges are intense.
Mr. President, you can have your way, but I will have my say. You can use the gavel, and I will use my voice.
And those who want the proviso are 55 in number. And so the proviso says.
But who truly stands for the people? Who is driving the change that defines our tomorrow?
Let us tell ourselves the truth. Why are we here talking about LGBT, GTBT, whatever?
Get the answers on Where Nigeria Decides on Inside the Parliament on AIT every Tuesday, 4:30 p.m.
Hello everyone, good morning to you. This is Kakaaki Social. I am Onoshorena Obozegeyu. Welcome to Thursday. Now, on the space of social media, Cardinal John Onayekon is making it clear that the criticism coming from the presidency will not silence him. The Catholic Archbishop Emeritus of Abuja says he is 82 years old and he has absolutely no reason to be afraid of anybody following the backlash over his account of the meeting between Catholic bishops and President Bola Tinubu. He says the concerns he raised on television were agreed upon by the bishops and were contained in a joint statement prepared by them. In his words, he was simply echoing the collective voice of the bishops.
I
I didn't go to arise to please government or to just please people, but to tell the truth. That's all I stand for. So, I cannot be embarrassed. I'm 82 years old. Nobody can embarrass me. And I'm not afraid of anybody. Nobody at this stage now. Are they going to arrest me? I can carry me to where? No, mind you, I didn't talk on my own now. I spoke on behalf of my fellow bishops. We drafted a statement. We contained all that I said in the interview. So all the bishops of Nigeria spoke that way. It was their voice I was echoing. And each of them are free to say the same thing in their dioceses. And they are doing it.
All right, let's bring you in and see how you're reacting. Ugochukwu says Cardinal John Onayekon has never been one to bend the truth to please those in power, not in his younger years as a bishop and not now in his old age as a cardinal. He has remained courageous, principled, and unafraid to speak truth to power. That is the kind of courage we must never take for granted. In another reaction to this one, he says somebody who was Archbishop of Abuja when Sani Abacha was head of state, somebody who stared Abacha down and told him his truth is who you think can be intimidated. More reactions to this one. Joshua says, respect to Cardinal Onayekon for speaking his mind without fear at 82. Having the courage to challenge those in power is commendable. However, truth should not belong to any political side. Whether the statement favors the government or the opposition, it should be judged by fact, evidence, and its impact on Nigerians. Speaking truth to power is valuable, but everyone, including government critics, should be held to the same standard of truth and accountability. For Slim, the user says, the most powerful part of Onayekon's statement is not that he is 82. It is that at 82, he still understands something many younger Nigerians have forgotten. Truth does not need government's permission to be spoken. You can attack the man, but you cannot intimidate a conscience that has already outlived fear. And perhaps that is what truly scares power, and not criticism, but an old man who has nothing left to lose by telling the truth. Right? Those are the reactions right there. Now, remember Chidinma Adesina, the Nigerian beauty queen who became the center of a nationality storm in South Africa after she entered the Miss South Africa competition. Yes, that's her. Well, the battle is far from over from what we see. Chidinma, who was born in South Africa and grew up there, eventually withdrew from the Miss South Africa contest amid questions surrounding her nationality and her mother's alleged identity-related issues. She later came to Nigeria, won Miss Universe Nigeria, and went on to make history as first runner-up at Miss Universe 2024. But South Africa has not closed that chapter. Her South African identity and travel document were cancelled following the nationality controversy, and authorities have challenged her legal status in the country. They say that he's her father is Nigerian, is the mother who is South African, and so she's not a South African. She was arrested in June after allegedly re-entering South Africa through the Lembombo border from Mozambique, despite having been declared a prohibited person. Her lawyers dispute aspects of the government's case, including the circumstances surrounding her immigration status. Now, the latest twist is that the South African court has postponed the matter concerning her detention and possible deportation, giving her legal team more time to challenge the government's position. And outside the courtroom, anti-migrant protesters gathered, demanding that Chidinma be deported, with some chasing her vehicle after the hearing.
like to say that I'm grateful that I once again have been able to get an opportunity to have my faith in our courts. And I remind everyone.
All right, let's see how you react to this. Godfrey says, Chidima, what are you doing there? You can practically live anywhere you want in the world. What are you trying to prove? Yes, there is the fact of emotional attachment, but I guarantee you, after some years, you will ask yourself, what made you stay there that long? This is GX19 says, just know that they can't afford to use their money to print those placards. Some shadow faceless movement is found in the group. The sufferers they will suffer from self-enforced isolation will shock the world. Reacting to the protesters there, Dr. Vince says Chidima has every legal right to dual citizenship. She is allowed to Nigerian constitution, and same is allowed in South African constitution. As of those retards on the street yelling like thugs who lost their minds, Chidima will give you heart attacks in the courtroom. Well, those are the conversations. Why exactly are you still there? All right, away from her. Imagine leaving Lagos State at about 5:30 in the morning, expecting to make a journey that should take some hours, only to still be trapped around the Benin bypass by 8 p.m. That is the reality passengers and motorists are reportedly facing along the Lagos-Benin corridors. Some stranded passengers resorted to taking motorcycles, carrying their luggage on their head simply to escape the gridlock on Wednesday. The anger is now being directed at the federal government, particularly the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi. The Benin bypass and adjoining sections of the Lagos-Benin corridor have repeatedly generated complaints over deterioration, congestion, and the condition of the road. This passenger who shared his account yesterday is trending on the space of social media.
David Umahi, Honorable Minister of Works, if you not say the work when I give you, you know people resign. Resign. The success, see people, just look. Then I don't say to bypass, see people. You dey do coastal road, existing road. Some of us have been here for 6 hours, for 4 hours. For only bypass to say, okay, David Umahi, what thing you want to campaign for Tinubu? I don't carry my bag for it. I don't need motor I pay for. Make a trade, fine bike. You know see, I pay for transport from Lagos to Efuwari, for bypass of Benin. I don't need motor, money waste, everything waste. I bike I enter now. This bike now, know how much it will charge me? Where do they carry me past the traffic? I left my house 5:30 this morning, and they still say that there's another traffic at the front outside this one. With the insecurity in this country, insecurity plus bad roads.
All right, let's see how you're reacting to this. Engineer Justin says, Nigerian leaders don't like us. All they care about is their families. How can you abandon this type of road to start constructing coastal road? Ijoma says there is still Okada Junction where commuters spend close to 3 hours in traffic. The condition of that road and how it deteriorated so badly, neglected by both federal and state governments when all they needed to do was to maintain or rehabilitate it until the south is cut off from the west. Maybe they will take it serious. More reactions to this from this user. It says, I was on that road this afternoon as at yesterday, and I must tell you it was traumatic. I was lucky our driver was quick at taking some decisions and never minded the damages the road did to his car. Man was busy driving through villages and bushes, and that was how we escaped. I just arrived my place an hour ago. All right, this is Anthony says David Umahi is not going to fix Benin City bypass or any other road. He's got a new job description, and is to mention Peter Obi and Southeast vote. Away from that user, philanthropist says, I'm currently here. Oh, this is really bad. Our vehicle has not moved an inch since 3 a.m. Now, this post was made at 5:13 a.m. this morning when I went back to check what the update of that story was. Look at it, 5:13 a.m. this morning. I wanted to see if there was an update, whether they've gotten to their destination or so. But 3 a.m., this guy was still there, and the post was made by 5:13 a.m. Well, hope they arrive safely. Now, away from that, retired military personnel, men who once wore the uniform and served the country, turned up at the Ministry of Defense to protest over pension and welfare concerns. But instead of getting into the ministry to present their grievances, they met another force waiting for them. 7 soldiers and armed police officers. Security personnel blocked the ex-servicemen from converging at the front of the Defense Ministry, leading to a confrontation between 7 and retired military personnel. The retirees are demanding the implementation of consequential pension adjustment linked to salary increases approved for 7 military personnel, among other outstanding welfare issues. Let's see what it was like yesterday.
We're not working with Kakaaki. That's the first secretary. Can you call somebody from there? So now we can go. We are looking for negotiations and we are calling for. Let us understand what.
All right, let's see how you're reacting. The Raven says you are still actively serving and you are stopping those who are trying to fight for a battle or a better retirement for you from protesting. No worry, you go still join them protest, and that time, 7 personnel will stop you too from fight for what belongs to you. It's a roller coaster. The Raven says. Nelson Fizu says, Nigerian drama, your everyday experience in a country like ours. We don't just love ourselves, and the soldiers chasing the retired soldiers will experience even worse treatment from their superiors. Is that it? This user, Dress Reality, says, Realty, imagine losing a part of your body for this country only to be treated like this when it's time to sit, rest, and eat the fruit of your blood and sweat. Well, that's the experience for them right there. Well, to more stories, and this one coming from Kano State, it is that the signature cap of the Kwankwasia movement, we saw that it was being burned in parts of the state, and it's a political symbol that has for years been associated with Rabiu Kwankwaso and the Kwankwasia movement that has literally gone up in flames. Video circulating online shows some people in Kofa in Bebeji local government area of the state burning the famous red caps associated with the movement, and politically that is not a small gesture. The red cap has become much more than just a piece of clothing for supporters of former Kano State Governor Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. It has come to represent the Kwankwasia movement and its political identity. Well, from what we read on the space of social media, those behind the latest display are presenting the burning of the caps as the alleged rejection of continued support for Kwankwaso and the movement ahead of the 2027 general elections for choosing to deputize Peter Obi in the 2027 presidential election. Alright, let's see how you're reacting to this. Alabi says, politicians keep making mistakes. Tinubu has always tried to avoid making. That is going where his supporters are against. Kwankwaso joining Obi was a very big mistake. When Muhammadu Buhari begged Bola Ahmed Tinubu to allow Ambode run for 2019, Tinubu said his supporters are against that and he is nothing without his supporters. His words, you are only called a leader when you have followers. Similarly, another reaction, Duke of Mina says, Kwankwaso's Constant movement from one political platform to another is becoming difficult to defend. You cannot keep changing parties and expect supporters to remain loyal without questions. At some point, consistency matters. Ndubueze says this is still a proof that we have too many free money flying around. Someone spent money that would have been put into good use to solve these caps to be burnt just to prove that youths abandoned a movement. Why are all the caps new? Abi, them know they wear them. Well, Ndubueze observed. Precious says, Father Christmas follow the born cap. APC again mind higher Father Christmas. Or them be higher bishop. Last, I will see vote Peter Obi. Hope you will vote him too. Well, that's your conscience, and everyone to his conscience. Everyone, thanks a bunch for being a part of Kakaaki Social this morning. I'm Rena OBO, and we are AIT_online. The program will continue after now. Bye for now.
Excuse me, this is your 100% year.
Babes, are you sure you want to spend this much on hair? Since your landlord just increased rent, I saved for this one separately on money point.
No, you say you save on money point? Yes. This madam money points here, the array of hairdryer there is target savings money points I used to have it. The rest of this my sub is fit savings money points I used to do it. The salary of this my staff is save as you transact.
Jennifer, money point save as you transact. Money point fixed savings and money point target savings.
Madam, why did I tell her not contribute to you? Why she say? Come on, oh, you go give your money to Adaku to save. You see money point accounts there. You know go open a savings account. Now Adaku you shoot. I beg everybody inside this my salon. Oh yeah, bring out your phone and download the money point app now. It's for you. What are you waiting for?
Download the money point banking app now and start saving the bank you can trust.
Money Point, made for your progress.
Kakaaki, unwrap joy, unleash taste.
Excuse me, ma. This is your 100% year.
Babes, are you sure you want to spend this much on hair?
Because of the high rate of fuel, the cost of commodities, cost of everything in this country is high.
This is unacceptable because Nigerians cannot be made to suffer every time.
So, where do you turn for clarity? The right questions.
What is the need for Nigerians? Let's really break it down. Income strata wise, revenue strata wise for companies.
What are some of the inhibitions that are not making trade work for all?
The real answers.
Stimulus package must take a different shape beyond what we have seen in sharing of rice, sharing of money.
Nancy brings it to you on Moneyline with Nancy.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Moneyline with Nancy.
Clear, well-researched conversations focused on what truly impacts you.
Is it that we don't know the number of MSMEs we have in the country, or we don't know where they are?
I don't think we can identify 40-something million MSMEs as a people and as a country.
Nigeria has the policy framework in place to be a leader on this approach. You can make farmers bankable.
Moneyline with Nancy now airs 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Weekdays, live on AIT and online. If it matters to the economy, join us. In the hallowed chambers where laws are forged and a nation's destiny is decided.
This is your parliamentary program, Inside the Parliament on AIT.
Voices rise, opinions clash, debates ignite.
We cannot be apologetic in the discharge of our constitutional duties as lawmakers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The burden of proving that the elections have been conducted peacefully and in accordance with law must shift to INEC.
From the Senate to the House of Representatives, this is where policies are tested, laws are crafted, and authority is held to account.
We spoke to some lawmakers on their opinions of the document presented by the president.
Every motion, every argument carries the hopes of millions.
We need more hospitals, more health clinics in communities so that they can effectively take care of the primary health need of our people.
The questions are tough. The exchanges are intense.
Mr. President, you can have your way, but I will have my say. You can use the gavel, and I will use my voice.
And those who want the proviso are 55 in number. And so the proviso says.
But who truly stands for the people? Who is driving the change that defines our tomorrow?
Let us tell ourselves the truth. Why are we here talking about LGBT, GTBT, whatever?
Get the answers on Where Nigeria Decides on Inside the Parliament on AIT every Tuesday, 4:30 p.m.
All right. Nice to know you're still there. It's the Thursday edition of Kakaaki, the African Voice, and the talking continues. And we're going to be talking about giving honor to whom it is due. Yes, that's what's going to happen this weekend as the Most Influential Awards. It's celebrating its 10th anniversary, and it promises to be a grand event. The event recognizes outstanding individuals who have made significant contributions to various sectors in Nigeria.
Absolutely, and this event is being convened by Vivian Lam, publisher Glamour Magazine, the Most Influential Awards. I think in its 10th year as well, it's good to say that consistency has been the mark. Usually when we see people set award system, you know, it usually doesn't last. It usually doesn't last. Yeah. But we do have to start off with Victor Atewa, event manager here in the studio. Victor, it's great to have you.
Thanks for having us, and thanks for having me.
All right, so how does it feel to be turning 10? Let's start from there.
Yeah, it's so blessed. I will feel privileged. It's so refreshing, you know, to know that we're 10. You know, a decade is not really a baby step. So we've passed through the orders, you know, trying to. We've been turned down. We've been looked down upon. We've been asked different questions why we're doing what we're doing, and if this I was going to see the light of day. But here we are, 10 years. So it's really. What's celebrating, and it's glorifying. It permit me to, you know, go into the Christian world. Of course, I'm a Christian, so it's really glorifying, and I must say it's a blessed one to celebrate the 10-year anniversary for the Nigerian Most Influential Awards.
Okay, it's been said that not enough Nigerians get honored or, recognition for some of the good deeds they've done. Then there's another school of thought that say that too many people are getting so-called recognitions and awards. Where do you stand on this?
But that's true, because one thing is we really don't give those who are deserving of their flowers while they're alive, you know. So little wonder we came up with this to recognize those who we feel that are influencing the public or influencing the people positively, and to get them recognized and of course awarded. And giving to your question as regards having plethora of awards everywhere, you know, just anyhow, just to award, and the motives are different, yeah. But the truth is, we are a nation of about 250 million people, and we have a lot of people who are doing great things, who are not out there. You know, they are not your everyday public people, public personalities, but they are really doing great in their field. So, hence we are different from others. That's why we've been able to weather the storm for 10 years and still counting, yes. So, but for others who are maybe just for different reasons, and like I said, time will tell and time will test them all. So you see a lot of award organizations who just want to be, perhaps maybe because of all the employment, you know, no jobs and all that. So a lot of people want to do a lot of things just to.
So you're saying that some awards are, you know, basically for subscription and
very true. Just to follow the trend, just to do things that are, you know, obtainable, things just to keep body and souls together. But hence you can't really tell their motive why they do what they do. But I can only speak for ourselves. But true be told, we have a lot of it's becoming stale. It's becoming, boring. I mean, we face that kind of challenge, you know, where we have people who tells us that, why are you awarding me? Why this?
I don't do awards.
I don't do awards, because it's becoming, it's becoming a norm. It's becoming too common. You don't know why you're giving me awards. So, but for those who have been with us all through the year, in fact, we don't really write to them anymore. They kind of like, oh, when are you going to next year? Am I going to be part of it? Because they've seen that we stand the test of time. And of course, and we've been consistent with what we do. And of course, those we give awards are not necessarily the everyday people. You see them.
So tell us a bit more about past beneficiaries and why those people, were recognized.
Okay, yeah, we have a lot of past beneficiaries. Permit me right now, I might not be able to glance through their names. Yeah, but a lot of them are...
the categories.
Yeah, the categories. Yeah, we have those who are perhaps maybe those who have truly influence in the area of being a true philanthropist, those who we have, in the area of governance and corporate sector, those in business, striving hard in business, doing well. You can tell, like the likes of Obi Kubana is really doing well in terms in his field, and of course trying to invest and grow the Nigerian economy, in the business world. We have a lot of them like that who have been recipients of this award, and trust me, they are really making us proud. They're making Nigerians proud in their field, and and we have those, of course, in the media world too. So, and I mean, like the AIT here for God knows, the lead AIT took in the Nigerian media space is what we birthed a lot of independent media stations that we have now in Nigeria and of course across Africa. So when you see organizations like that who have been part of our brand and of course been awarded and rewarded, so you can tell that we just don't give those that are just, those you can, you can, those that stand the test of time, and yeah.
Okay, I'm made to understand that our late founder and chairman, late High Chief Aliyahu Dopasi is also up for a posthumous award. Tell us about that, how you arrived at that decision.
May so rest in peace, and given to his antecedent and the landmark achievement he had made and still making through his legacy in the media space across Africa, one can only but continue to appreciate his personality even while he's no more. So little I wonder we came up with a posthumous award to recognize his his landmark achievement and what he has done in the media space. And for a lot of us who at a time where it was hard to come up with anything, when it had to face the government at the time, so he took the bold step and came up with this this initiative and of course this legacy, which a lot of people have benefited over the years and still benefiting. We have a lot of brands, a lot of personalities who have broke out from his work. So we can't appreciate him enough. We can't thank him enough, and we continue to pray and hope that a lot of people will will learn from him, will take a lead, and of course keep his legacy going. So hence we're awarding him for that, and nobody deserves that award except him. Yeah.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Okay, so how are we also looking at the generation next? Because again, inspiration is also very important as we look at awards, recognition. Are you also looking into that pool of young people doing extraordinary things and showcasing skills and seeing that those who are coming in front of them have inspiration?
Yeah, truly. The convener, Ambassador Vivian Lamb, she's a young lady doing exceptionally well. As you see, our team full of young minds. So we believe in the younger generation. We believe in those. This year we have a lot of young entrepreneurs who are doing fantastically well. And of course, they are being awarded. We have the likes of, maybe if I'm to call names, the Prada Uzoma. She's a barrister, a young barrister, and she's doing exceptionally well. And we have a lot of them like that who are part of the recipients for this year. And we are not just giving them award, we also encourage them to do more, in their field, and of course to make the world know and to be proud of what they do, and of course to showcase Nigeria in a positive light. That's very important, because a lot of younger ones right now are going astray and doing things that are negative, and of course not giving us a good name. So what we're doing is spotlighting the good in our younger generation, of course, and of course bringing them out there to encourage others to do more.
I'm a bit concerned about the future. Let's go back to what we were discussing earlier with the plethora of awards. But I do like what you said when you talked about your consistency and motive. But it looks as if going forward with the plethora and the mindset that people have against awards, you're going to need to do a bit more than that.
True. Yeah, that's where we're setting the pace here to see that. Of course, we know there are a lot of award organizations who have been there before us, and of course are doing they're doing well too. But we being conceived by young minds, and of course the team lead happens to be a female, and of course giving our space, I must give our flowers, and we are really trying to see how we can, be better, and of course do more.
All right. I guess that one of the things that people would say is that there's a lot of expectations from those who are awarded, post the award. I mean, it's one thing to give awards, but it's also the post-evaluation of what happened to the recipients and how they go on to continue to do the good work. But just in time, we just want to tell you that we have been joined by Vivian Lam, publisher, Glamour Magazine, convener, the most influential awards, and the young person, the remarkable convener that he's just been speaking about, and it's great to see you.
See the smile on her face. That's all right. Hello, Vivian. How are you doing? Yeah, all right. We'll forgive you.
Okay, so we've just been talking to Victor here about 10 years so far. How far? I mean, congratulations, first of all. So how has the journey been? I mean, you are the convener. From your eyes, how has the journey been?
Okay, I'm sure he has spoken a lot about the brand already, and the journey so far has not been easy. Of course, nothing good comes easy in Nigeria, and when you are doing something remarkable like this, it comes with a whole lot of challenges, especially when you want to put something great out there and you have to convince people to believe in what you are doing and all of that. So the journey so far has been good, at the same time challenging. And I thank God that we are here, because, there were moments that you feel like quitting. There were moments you feel like, giving up, because probably what you're expecting is not coming. But then, because of passion that you have for something, and because that you have already, positioned your mind in recognizing some people that are kind of doing great things, but they are not being noticed. So you have to keep the dream going. So yeah, it's been challenging financially, trying to convince people to believe in what you are doing. And of course, in a society whereby it's kind of male-dominated sector, like mostly men that do what we are doing, so it's difficult to, to convince them that you know what you are doing. There are women that are still doing great. I mean, we have people like Nkozo Konjiwala that up there, and she's like our role model. So I want to be there. I want, at some point, people will understand that greatness doesn't stop from being just the male version. There are women that are doing great things. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
now, just before you came, I have to confess, Victor's been doing a great job on your behalf. And there's something he said, which I'd like you to emphasize. He said, what's kept you guys going for 10 years. He's talked about your consistency and the motive for doing what you do. Yes. I'd like you to speak to that too.
Yes, what kept us going is, like I said, there are people that, this year's theme is celebrating influence and impact. It's not just about being influential in the society. It's about doing something, impacting your community in your own little way. So there are people that are not really politicians, they are not anybody, but they are doing great. They are sponsoring people, they are giving scholarships, they are doing what government should do. And these people probably don't have that platform for them to be noticed. So that's what we do. We scout for such people, and we research about them, check what they have done, read their antecedents, check their profiling. So there are so many procedures that actually leads to nominating these people. People nominate them, then we search for them, we read about their profiling and see what they have done. So it's not just about being influential on TV, but influencing your immediate community, what you have done so far, and what warrant us to celebrate you. So that's what we'll be doing.
Just before we let you go, we want to know who we have on the list. We have a stake in the name of our late founder. Who else are we having on this list, and where is it happening?
We have our very own here. Congratulations, she's been awarded to the Media Personalities of the Year. Yeah, she's on the list, yeah, she's on the list, yeah.
You might even be in next year's list.
Yeah, we have the late I Chief Raymond Anil Dokwesi on the list. We have, Ambassador Daniel Newman. We have a lot of them, I think.
We have people like Captain DG of aviation, because we all see what he's doing in the aviation sector. So we have someone like him. We have some government officials, and we have entrepreneurs that are also doing well. We have business people, and of course, media. Where I come from, there are people that has been there, that has been projecting the nation in a positive way. So we also have people like that, and of course, we have younger people as well that are doing great and impacting people in their own little way. We may not be able to mention names for some reasons, but we have a good number of people that are turning up for it.
Okay, so in terms, because when I have seen several types of awards, people, even online here, we're getting feedback when people say, "Oh, awards have come again. Who's buying what are they giving them?" But I know that to set up, to push, to plan, to prepare takes a lot of financing. It's capital intensive, and this is the 10th year of planning this. So Vivian, how has it been in terms of, partnership, collaboration, and how do you move to the next 10 years, looking at how finance plays a role in this?
Thank you very much. That's actually what I wanted to talk about before. So when it comes to financing this brand, like I said, everything that we do is mainly for passion's sake and to project and keep the consistency alive. And when it comes to sponsorship and partnership, it's not been easy, especially in Nigeria right now. Before, we used to get one or two, but this year actually has been a major challenge in getting sponsorship, because everybody is complaining of money and all of that. But in terms of other areas like media, we were able to get partnership, 100% partnership from AIT, which we are so grateful for giving us that platform to project us and tell our story. So it's been very difficult getting funding. And of course, we have a good number of Nigerians, few of them that actually support what we are doing, because our word is not being sold out. So what we do is that we write our letters and ask for the nominees to support. So the ones that will support, they will support. The ones that wouldn't support, they wouldn't support. But it's just been doing it in our own little way. It's just been self-funding all through. Yeah.
The reason why I'm asking this, because you have several kind of organizational awards, like the Forbes list of hundreds. You have the Times Watch 10 persons or 10 entrepreneurs of the year, and you see that annual organizational influence into partnership. So beyond individuals, are you also looking at perhaps expanding your ecosystem to look at partnership with organizations, lead partnerships with perhaps development agencies? Is that something you consider?
Truly, we're looking at that, because last year, the last edition we had, before now, it'd been self-sponsored, of course, collaborating with other individuals who believe in the brand and, of course, supporting us. Hence, we are this year, though, we reached out to a lot of corporate bodies, which, of course, some of them are giving us a good feedback, noting that 10 years is really a landmark, and, of course, they're looking at to be part of the project moving forward. So we're really looking at expanding to that reach. But like you said before now, award has been, forgive me to use the word, it's been abused in a way in Nigeria now. So a lot of them are being skeptical to know what do you stand for? Why are you doing what you're doing? What are your financiers? Sometimes we get that kind of questions. How are we able to keep it to this time? But that noting that we are 10 years in the business, and of course we're doing great, and of course we're not keeping the standard low. It's been growing from every year. It's been growing, and so most of them are looking at being part of it, and we are getting a good nod in terms of being, trying to support the brand. And moving forward, though a lot of corporate brand of course, reached out, but of course, the economic factor played in. Yeah, a lot of them really wanted to be part of it, but they were like, we want to come this way, but because we don't have this capacity and given to this, we think that we might not be able, but some will come with support. Hence, they refer, some nominees to us to say, okay, let's see what this person, let's see, and let's be part of it in our little way. But moving forward, we're looking at that strongly.
All right. Are there, apart from handing out awards, are there other side attractions that we should look forward to?
Of course, the event is packed with a lot of entertainment.
Yeah.
Aside the award, we're having a green carpets, cocktail green carpets, whereby we give few minutes for people to network, and it's going to be massive. It's just like AMVCA standard.
And it's the first in Abuja, actually.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean by the first is it's not the conventional red carpet.
Okay.
Yeah,
where you come it's the red carpet. Where you come, outside the fact that you've been interviewed, you get to have a cocktail, you get to interact, you get to network. You just don't walk into the hall, and there's a lot of it's another segment on its own, an entertainment.
The segment of the radio.
So then you get to have fun and all that, and you're going to be entertained. We have a lot of packed entertainment, where we come and you'll be thrilled from start to finish.
I just get the feeling that these guys don't want to let the cat out of the bag.
Surprisingly about telling us about the biggest shows.
We understand.
Yeah, tell us about the hosts. We've seen quite some of the highlights of the two hosts who would be championing as MCs.
Yeah, we'll have Chicks the General, which is Abuja famous MC host. Like everybody knows Chicks the General is the MC of the capital. So we have Juliet Ibrahim. She's Ghanaian Nigerian actress and has done so well in also movie industry for the past 20 decades. So I think these two a match made in heaven. And they're going to give us a show.
General, he featured at my alumni event, and he turned the place upside down.
It's good.
It's a maestro. Absolutely. All right. So, is there any takeaways from this? What do we hope to see the next 10 years? In the coming years, what are you expecting, Vivian? What are you looking forward to?
Somebody's going to have to talk this time.
Okay, God. So God keeping us alive. Well, we hope to, we hope to have more international partnership. Like we want to take the award to international level, not just Nigeria, because we even have a lot of offers from different African countries trying to tell us, why are you limiting it to Nigeria? So from now till 5 years to 10 years time, we hope to take it to international level and also partner with a lot of NGOs. That's because that's where the real influence is. So one will be able to partner with a lot of NGOs and of course extend to other.
I'm sure one information you won't be able to hide is to tell us when and where it's happening.
Okay, it's happening next tomorrow, last Saturday, 22nd of August, 2026 at Transcorp Hilton, Congress Hall precisely. And it's going to be a big show. Trust me, you don't want to miss it.
Just sound like
time is 4 p.m. for the green carpets, cocktail green carpets, then 6 p.m. for the main event sharp.
All right. That sounds like a party.
Sounds like a party. You're part of it also.
Well, I'm not sure. We'll talk about that.
I can't wait to have a Dora. I always tell her that whenever she talks, I listen because she is good.
Yeah,
she's one of the people.
Most people listen when she talks.
Yes, whenever she talks. So we can't afford to not give her this honor because she has paid her dues.
Yeah. And not just paying her dues again, as she has really set the pace in terms of her program. With the agenda. And she's so passionate about the girl's child. I must say that's a very good leap. It's a strife that is an industry that a lot of people don't tend to look into, but she taking that lead, to let Nigerians.
There's no money in it, and so there's.
She's taking that lead and portraying the girl's child, of course, standing firm in that field. I must say it's a good one. So she in the broadcasting world, and of course in that area, she's doing so great. Much. And I must say she deserves to be awarded.
All right, thanks on that. On that,
thank you.
Note, I think we'll wrap it up. Good to end while the ovation is loud, and that's exactly what we're going to do here.
Thank you.
So I want to take 1 minute to invite all Nigerians.
Okay, all right.
I want to take 1 minute to invite. I just want to take 1 minute to appreciate AIT one more time for the platform given to us, and also to invite all Nigerians to be part of this great movement, and to also come for the event is
So
going
it's
to be
come
great.
one, come all.
But strictly by invitation, though.
Strictly by invitation.
It's going to be make that pretty clear too.
You have an avalanche.
All right, thanks Victor, thanks Vivian for coming on the show. We'll be speaking with Vivian Lamb, publisher of Glamour Magazine and convener of the most influential awards. And before she came in, we've been speaking with Victor Atebe, who is the event manager of it all. Many thanks, guys, for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
And I guess when he's talking about quitting while the ovation is loud, we should do the same thing too.
Absolutely. It's been a great time doing this with you today, and we hate to leave you, but we still love you. We'll see you again tomorrow.
All right, I know you do. We'll go out there, have yourselves a wonderful day, and then, like Adora said, see you tomorrow.
Adora Sydney Jack, goodbye.